Welcome to Novel Love Hearing. We bring you hundreds of novel audiobooks covering every genre and every kind of story you can imagine. Action? We've got it. Adventure? Absolutely. Horror? Of course. Whether it's the legendary Uchiha Massacre or outrageous tales like stealing Naruto's and Sasuke's women, you'll find it here. From epic series like One Piece, Bleach, Fairy Tail, and Hunter x Hunter, to countless other adventures, our library has it all. Love novels but don't have time to read? No worries, just plug in your earbuds, sit back, and let the story take over. Good listening, and happy hearing. Rowan, naturally, wouldn't allow that to happen this time. With his system and awakened observation hockey, preventing such an incident would be easy. Rowan had originally planned to suggest finding a doctor after Little Garden, but since Crocus brought it up now, it saved him the trouble. Thinking of the adorable reindeer, Rowan couldn't help but smile. Especially considering the devil fruit Chopper ate, the human fruit. Other known human fruits were mythical zones. Only Chopper's was the base model, jokingly called the commoner form. Shishishi. Then before we finally land in Alabasta, let's go find a doctor there first. Luffy decided, remembering the doctor in Kokoyasi village mentioning the importance of a ship's doctor for the crew's health during long voyages. Well then, let's get out of here first. Old man, you have a way to get us out, right? Having settled their immediate course, Rowan looked towards Crocus with a smile. Rowan had already checked Crocus's traits. Just as Crocus implied, he possessed little combat strength now, being old and retired for many years. Crocus was never primarily a fighter anyway, he only joined the Roger Pirates late in their journey to help manage Roger's illness for 3 years. While he was robust in his youth and participated in some battles, years of retirement had weakened his physique considerably. Otherwise, he wouldn't have let Vivi and Mr. Nine continuously harass Laboon. The One Piece world's power system was unforgiving, advance or decline. To become the ultimate king, like conquering the Grand Line, one could only forge relentlessly forward. Follow me. Crocus instructed, leading the way. Soon, under Crocus's guidance, the Going Merry sailed out of Laboon's stomach and back into the open sea. Moo. Laboon suddenly let out a tremendous roar. Laboon. Calm down. If you keep roaming the red line, you'll kill yourself. Crocus yelled urgently upon hearing Laboon's cry. Laboon? Is that the whale's name? Why is he ramming the red line? Nami asked curiously. Yes. Laboon is an island whale, native only to the West Blue. As for why he rams the red line, it's because Laboon has human emotions. Crocus sighed. Seeing the crew's curious gazes, Crocus recounted Laboon's story, how Laboon met the Rumbar Pirates as a calf and became their companion, how the Rumbar Pirates entered the Grand Line, promising Laboon they would meet again hereafter circumnavigating the world, how they never returned. Crocus himself had joined the Roger Pirates partly to inquire about the Rumbar Pirates' fate, only to learn they had supposedly fled the Grand Line. When Crocus delivered this news, Laboon began ramming the red line in despair, trying to break through to find his friends, continuing until he was covered in scars. So, he's an abandoned whale? Waiting has become meaningless? Nami asked softly, looking sadly at Laboon's scarred body. No. Waiting hasn't lost its meaning. Rowan stated firmly, looking directly into Laboon's enormous eye. Eh? What do you mean, Rowan? Usopp asked quickly, having felt sorry for Laboon. I don't know about the others. But one member of the Rumbar Pirates was a user of the Revive fruit, wasn't he? Rowan asked, looking knowingly at Crocus. Why yes. His name was Brook. How did you know? Crocus stared, shocked. Let's just say I have a special sense when it comes to devil fruits. Rowan offered vaguely. Oh, I see. So that's how you can steal other people's devil fruit powers. Zoro exclaimed, having his own aha moment. The others nodded, accepting the explanation readily. Such supportive comrades. Rowan smiled inwardly. Steal devil fruit powers. Crocus's pupils constricted sharply again, staring at Rowan in shock. This ability. He seemed to recall hearing something similar from Roger and the others. Anyway, at the very least, that Revive fruit user is still somewhere in the Grand Line. Rowan stated confidently, gesturing towards the vast ocean, not elaborating further. For Laboon, knowing Brook was still alive was far more meaningful than Luffy making a new promise. Overriding a 50-year wait with a new promise might offer temporary hope, but couldn't compare to the truth. Still in the Grand Line? Impossible. I received definite intel that the Rumbar Pirates fled the Grand Line. Unless something happened, causing only part of the crew to leave? Crocus murmured disbelievingly. But he didn't doubt Rowan's words. Why would a man of Rowan's caliber lie to an old man like him? Plus, Rowan instantly knowing about the Revive fruit user, combined with the reactions of Rowan's crew. It couldn't be faked. Indeed, as Crocus suspected, the Rumbar pirates encountered a plague. The captain led the infected away via the comm belt, leaving Brooke as acting captain. Brooke's remaining crew was later wiped out by enemies using poisoned weapons in the Florian Triangle, with only Brooke reviving thanks to his fruit. I see. So that's how it was. Laboon. They didn't abandon you. Crocus exclaimed emotionally, tears welling up as he looked at Laboon. Moo. Laboon cried out towards the sky, giant tears streaming from his enormous eyes. By the way, the Rumbar pirates. You could call them a crew of musicians. Rowan added, smiling towards Luffy. Musician. Luffy's eyes instantly lit up like stars. A musician had been his obsession from the start. That revive fruit user. He's a musician too? Luffy asked excitedly. Yes. Brooke is an excellent musician. Crocus confirmed with a nod. The power of the revive fruit allows the user to return to life once after death. 50 years have passed. That user might now be a living skeleton. Rowan added with a chuckle. A living skeleton musician. That's him. The musician I want. Luffy, always fascinated by the strange and unusual, beamed, his eyes shining brightly. So, stop ramming the red line. We'll be responsible for bringing that man back. How about it? When we circle the world, we'll bring him back to see you, Laboon. Rowan called out to the giant whale. Moo. Laboon cried out tearfully, seemingly understanding and agreeing. Just that isn't enough. Luffy suddenly declared, then dashed into the cabin, returning moments later with a bucket of paint. Under Luffy's enthusiastic brush strokes, a crooked version of the Straw Hat Jolly Roger was painted onto the front of Laboon's head. The part he used to ram the red line. This mark is proof of our promise. Don't you dare damage this mark before we come back here. Luffy declared with a wide grin. Moo. Laboon replied affirmatively. Laboon. I'm so glad for you. Crocus smiled, relieved. Now Laboon wouldn't keep injuring himself against the red line. Rowan and the others smiled too. Luffy might be unreliable most of the time, but at crucial moments, he could be surprisingly thoughtful. Yosh. Next stop, Alabasta. No wait. First, Drum Island to find the ship's doctor. Luffy yelled, pumping his fist. Excuse me. Whether going to Alabasta or Drum Island, you first have to pass through our town. Whiskey Peak. Vivi interjected timidly, holding out a log pose. I remember. Rowan, you said the magnetic fields in the Grand Line are messed up, so normal compasses don't work. You need a special pointer. A log pose. Is this it? Nami asked, staring intently at the device Vivi held. Exactly. To navigate to the next island in the Grand Line, you have to wait for the log pose to record the magnetic field of your current island. Only then will it point towards the next island. Rowan confirmed with a smile. You don't have a log pose? I have one here too, you can have it. Crocus offered generously. Set sail. Nami exclaimed, fastening the log pose to her wrist, already feeling like a true Grand Line navigator. Let's go. To Whiskey Peak, Rowan declared, looking out at the vast ocean ahead, a powerful smile gracing his features. The campaign against Crocodile begins now. Chapter 71, Bonus, Dimensional B8 down. Hunting devil fruits. Somewhere on the Grand Line, the Going Merry sailed onward. Unlike their smooth sailing through East Blue thanks to Nami's exceptional skills, the Merry was currently experiencing utter chaos in Grand Line. One moment, the sky above the sea would be clear and sunny, the next, thick fog would roll in, followed instantly by blizzards, thunderstorms, hurricanes. A relentless, unpredictable cycle of extreme weather with no respite. What is wrong with this sea? Even Nami, despite her talent, couldn't help but clutch her head, overwhelmed by the bizarre climate. Stay calm, Nami. This is the Grand Line. There's nothing wrong with your navigation skills. You just need to practice and verify things as we sail. Rowan reassured her gently, placing a hand on her shoulder with a warm smile. Theory was just theory. Without actually sailing the Grand Line, one couldn't truly grasp the terrifying nature of this sea. But adapting to this harsh environment, constantly pushing forward. That's how one grew stronger. This applied to both navigation skills and hockey. We'll navigate together. Just remember one principle, sailing the Grand Line, you can't trust the wind, the clouds, or the currents. The only thing you can rely on is this unwavering needle. Rowan stated seriously, pointing to the log pose on Nami's wrist. Having already equipped Nami's navigation and climate sense traits, Rowan's own navigational understanding was now on par with hers. However, actually sailing the Grand Line still required practical experience. I understand, Rowan. Reassured by Rowan, Nami quickly regained her composure. Under Nami and Rowan's joint command, though still hectic, the Going Merry successfully navigated through the volatile stretch of sea. The weather finally stabilized. Luffy and the others collapsed onto the deck, exhausted. Sailing through such conditions required constant course adjustments, leaving absolutely no time for rest. Phew. Vivi leaned against the cabin wall, letting out a breath. She watched Rowan discussing navigation with Nami, noticing the genuine smile on Nami's face, and pressed her lips together thoughtfully. A pang of envy stirred within her. During the recent chaotic navigation, Rowan and Nami had commanded the ship together. Vivi had also learned that Rowan had specifically learned navigation for Nami. This resonated deeply with Vivi, who, for the sake of her country, had infiltrated Baroque works with Igaram at the young age of 16. Though Vivi was incredibly strong-willed. Otherwise she wouldn't have abandoned her princess life to undertake such a dangerous mission. She was still, at heart, an 18-year-old young woman with inherent vulnerabilities. Especially after discovering Crocodile was behind Baroque works, the overwhelming despair had magnified that vulnerability immensely. And then, she met Rowan and his crew. Vivi sat on the deck, her gaze drifting towards Rowan. Even now, it felt surreal, like a dream. Just when she felt most hopeless, a great pirate with a bounty over 100 million appeared. A powerful Logia devil fruit user, no less. Someone who had even clashed with Hawkeye's Mihawk, another warlord. That clash was even hailed by the newspapers as a clash of kings. She knew Crocodile had never received such an evaluation in the papers. Sky Sovereign Rowan. A future king of the seas. Vivi pressed her lips together again. And now, Rowan and his crew were heading to confront Crocodile. One of the 7 warlords. Rowan had even decided to save her country because her despair reminded him of Nami's past expression. Nami. Had she also experienced such despair? Recalling Rowan's words, Vivi looked towards Nami thoughtfully. But the Nami now truly smiled so happily. And that smile was protected by a powerful man. And that powerful man had even learned navigation for Nami's dream. Vivi felt an overwhelming sense of envy towards Nami at that moment. Land ho! Our first destination. Nami exclaimed, checking the logbows on her wrist, then looking towards the island gradually appearing in the distance, her face breaking into a bright smile. Successfully guiding the crew to their first destination in the Grand Line filled Nami with a sense of accomplishment, especially since she shared this achievement with Rowan. Her eyes sparkled as she looked at Rowan. Rowan, feeling his own spirit strengthen slightly from successfully conquering the harsh sea conditions. Which in turn enhanced his conqueror's haki via Born of the Sea, Apex Gold. Returned Nami's smile. Successfully commanding the ship through the perilous Grand Line to reach the destination also strengthens one's spirit, enhancing haki. Looks like I can share command duties with Nami from now on. Rowan hadn't expected navigation skills to have such a side benefit. No wonder navigation, unlike Sanji's cooking skills, had a quantifiable trait tier. And because his bond with Nami was already maxed out, whenever Nami's navigation skill leveled up, Rowan's would instantly synchronize. Another unexpected bonus. That must be Whiskey Peak, right, Vivi? Nami asked, turning to Vivi who had walked up beside her. Yes. That's Whiskey Peak. Just like I told you, there are about 100 Baroque Works bounty hunters stationed there. Mr. 8. Igaram. Who is stationed there, is actually the captain of our kingdom's royal guard, Vivi confirmed, her expression turning slightly dazed as she looked at the island. Just one mission away hunting. And everything felt worlds apart now. To gain the help of someone as powerful as Rowan. Vivi still found it somewhat unreal. Mr. Rowan. I have a small request. Mr. 9 spoke up hesitantly after much internal debate. Though he realized during the voyage that Rowan and his crew were different from typical pirates. Especially Rowan, who was incredibly powerful yet carefree, even willing to trust Mr. 9 based solely on his oath, perfectly fitting Mr. 9's image of a great pirate. He still spoke cautiously when addressing such a powerhouse. What is it? Rowan asked, smiling, though his expression seemed slightly odd. His observation haki detected Mr. 9's emotional fluctuations. Rowan already had a good idea what was coming. When you're clearing out the bounty hunters on the island. Could you spare one person? Her code name is Miss Monday. Mr. 9 finally managed, gritting his teeth. Vivi's expression turned slightly strange beside him. Miss? I remember code names like that are for female agents, right? Sanji immediately perked up at the mention of a lady. Is she your sweetheart? Usopp asked mischievously. And not exactly. She's just special. Mr. 9 stammered awkwardly. Show us a picture. Otherwise, how will we know who she is? Usopp and Sanji grinned knowingly, sharing a man-to-man understanding look. Oh okay. Mr. 9 hesitated, then pulled out a photo of Miss Monday. The photo showed a dark-skinned woman with a physique arguably more muscular and imposing than Zoro's. Usopp and Sanji fell silent instantly. Yeah. Definitely special. Well, everyone has their own tastes. I'll remember her. Rowan replied, his smile slightly strained but agreeing nonetheless. Mr. Nine breathed a sigh of relief. Our Rowan. The townspeople. Will welcome any arriving pirates with a feast. Then drug their drinks and attack them in the dead of night. When we arrive, just act normally and accept their hospitality. I'll go find Igaram and explain the situation. Vivi explained nervously. Though Rowan had told her to just call him by name, Vivi still felt hesitant. What? That's so dirty. Luffy immediately expressed his disdain for such tactics. Vivi flushed with embarrassment. Don't worry. Leave it to me. Rowan reassured her with a smile, not pressing Vivi to relax just yet. Seeing Rowan agree, Vivi also breathed a sigh of relief, a smile grazing her lips. Pirates. Welcome. Warriors of the sea. Welcome. Upon entering the harbor, they were immediately greeted by lines of cheering townspeople. However, the crew already knew these were disguised bounty hunters. Knowing it was fake, Luffy, Usopp, and the others showed little interest. Rowan simply watched the bounty hunters' performance with an amused smile. Welcome, pirates. La 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 cough cough. I am the mayor of this town. We warmly welcome pirates here. This is a town that welcomes pirates. A burly man with curly hair, who seemed unable to finish a sentence without bursting into song, greeted them with an overly enthusiastic smile. Mr. 8, aka Igaram, captain of the Alabasta Royal Guard. Rowan looked at Igaram, smiling faintly. His observation haki clearly sensed Igaram's extreme nervousness beneath the facade. Igaram was incredibly nervous, almost terrified. Because the moment Rowan stepped onto Whiskey Peak, Igaram recognized him. The pirate with the 100 million Bailey bounty. Sky Sovereign Rowan. And the one with the 45 million bounty. Straw Hat Monkey D. Luffy. Especially Sky Sovereign Rowan. Igaram, responsible for gathering intelligence, knew this man had clashed with the warlord Hawkeye's Mihawk. For such a great pirate to arrive at Whiskey Peak, how could he not be nervous? Worse still, Igaram had no idea why Princess Vivi was accompanying this man. Did the princess not know his identity? Igaram cursed himself, he should have informed the princess about Rowan sooner. News of Rowan entering the Grand Line had already caused major waves. He never imagined Rowan's first stop would be here, and with the princess in tow. Too dangerous. Igaram's only thought now was to quickly get Rowan's group drunk and ensure the princess's safety. But just as Igaram was about to mention the welcome feast, Rowan spoke, his words instantly freezing Igaram in place. Mr. 8. Igaram, is it? Rowan asked, looking directly at Igaram with a smile. Igaram's smile froze on his face. Vivi's expression also became incredibly strained. This wasn't part of the plan. Bounty hunters disguised as townspeople. Your acting skills need work, Baroque works. Rowan commented, glancing around at the welcoming committee, his smile turning predatory. Even without prior knowledge, these bounty hunters couldn't hide their true nature from Rowan's observation haki. The stench of bloodlust was palpable beneath their forced smiles. As for Vivi's suggestion to play along and accept the feast? Against mere lackeys like these, why bother pretending? Clang. Clang. The moment Rowan's words fell, the townspeople who had been cheering moments before instantly dropped their facade, drawing weapons and glaring fiercely at Rowan's group. Nami. Be careful. Vivi immediately drew her peacock slashers. Weapons resembling peacock tail feathers. And stepped protectively in front of Nami. Rowan was strong, a Logia user. Vivi knew these bounty hunters couldn't harm him. But Nami, despite her agility, was still fundamentally a normal young woman. Although Vivi didn't understand Rowan's intentions, Nami was here because of her. Vivi felt responsible for protecting her. Vivi. Nami murmured, touched by Vivi's action, then gently pulled Vivi behind her. It's okay. Seeing the relaxed smile on Nami's face, Vivi hesitated. She then noticed that despite being surrounded by armed bounty hunters, the rest of the crew looked completely relaxed, showing no intention of fighting. What's going on? Even if they're strong, shouldn't they prepare for battle against so many armed opponents? Vivi felt completely bewildered. Miss Wednesday. What are you doing? A muscular, dark-skinned woman, seemingly stronger even than Zoro, stepped forward, yelling at Vivi. It was Miss Monday, the agent Mr. Nine cared about. Have you betrayed the company? The other bounty hunters also glared hostilely at Vivi. So noisy. Rowan sighed. The terrifying crimson-black light flared violently in his eyes. The next moment, it solidified, erupting outwards like a physical force. Boom. Crackle. 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 Crimson-black lightning surged outwards from Rowan, filling the air. under the utterly disbelieving gazes of Igaram, Vivi, and Mr. 9. The bounty hunters who had been aggressively brandishing weapons and shouting threats just moments before. Caught in the crackling crimson-black storm. All went white-eyed and collapsed unconscious. Thump. 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 Instantly, bodies littered the ground. Conqueror's hockey. Ha. A gentle breeze swept through the now silent plaza. Normally refreshing, it felt chilling against Igaram's skin, drenched in cold sweat. All of them. Taken down. With just a single word from this man. The only ones left standing were himself and Miss Monday. What kind of power is this? Is this the power of the 100 million Bailey pirate? The man hailed as a future king of the seas? Igaram swallowed hard, staring at Rowan, his eyes filled with absolute terror. This. Vivi's lips parted slightly as she stared blankly at the scene. Am I dreaming? Rowan spoke one word, gave one look. And all the bounty hunters were wiped out? That's Rowan's conqueror's hockey. Before that hockey, even pirates with bounties in the tens of millions can only fall unconscious. Nami explained proudly, seeing Vivi's stunned expression. Conqueror's hockey. Vivi murmured, staring dazedly at Rowan's back. Even pirates worth tens of millions. Couldn't even remain conscious before Rowan? What astonishing power. It felt even more shocking than a Logia devil fruit. No wonder the clash between Rowan and Hawkeye's Mihawk was called a clash of kings. Power like this truly seemed like that of a king looking down from above. There are still 2 little bugs left. Rowan commented with a faint smile, turning his gaze towards a shadowy alley nearby. White blow. Whoosh. 2 streams of swirling smoke instantly shot into the shadows, grabbing a man and a woman hiding there and pulling them out. Mr. 5. Miss Valentine? Vivi stared wide-eyed at the man and woman captured by Rowan's smoke, their faces contorted with fear. 2 devil fruits. A decent haul. Rowan remarked, looking at the pair with a predatory smile. The bomb fruit and the kilo fruit. Chapter 72, Devil Fruit Fusion Techniques. Gold tier trait. Rowan looked at the man and woman struggling futilely within his smoke constructs and issued a mental command. Check traits. Mr. 5 traits, bomb fruit, deep purple, bomb human. Can turn any part of the body into a bomb. Miss Valentine traits, kilo fruit, deep purple, kilo human. User can freely manipulate their own weight between 1 kilogram and 10,000 kilograms. Can float like a feather or crush enemies with astonishing weight. 2 relatively weak Paramsha devil fruits. Especially the kilo fruit. Its power was vastly inferior to Shiki's float fruit. It could only alter the user's own weight, with a fixed upper limit and no potential for further growth. And because attacks required physical contact and needed an umbrella for directional control, like Miss Valentine used, they were easily dodged. On its own, this fruit's power was mediocre at best. But in Rowan's hands now, it was a completely different story. Rowan currently possessed the smoke fruit. The biggest drawback of the smoke fruit was its lack of offensive power. Against weak opponents without hockey, its ability to bind and suffocate was potent. But against hockey masters, it served primarily as a support tool. However, combining the kilo fruit's ability with the smoke fruit changed everything. Infusing the kilo power into his smoke could allow Rowan's smoke form to reach a weight of 10 tons. Combined with hockey, this could completely compensate for the smoke fruit's current offensive shortcomings. The bomb fruit could also synergize with the smoke fruit. The smoke fruit could fill the battlefield with smoke, disrupting enemy observation hockey. Devil fruit powers and hockey didn't necessarily counter each other. Powerful abilities could shatter hockey attacks, and naturally, they could also interfere with hockey perception. Consider Sanji's dream devil fruit, the clear fruit. Its strength lay in rendering the user completely invisible, including their presence, emotions, and anything else detectable by observation hockey. Unless an opponent's observation hockey far surpassed the combined strength of the clear user's fruit and their own hockey, perceiving their movements and presence would be impossible. Otherwise, why would someone of Shiryu of the Rain's caliber choose that ability? How else could Shiryu successfully land a sneak attack on someone with Garp's level of observation hockey? While filling the battlefield with smoke didn't interfere with observation hockey as effectively as the clear fruit, it still had an effect, albeit mostly supportive. But adding the bomb fruit changed the equation entirely. The bomb ability could be infused into the smoke, turning it into explosive smoke. Enemies caught within the smoke field would suffer unavoidable, omnidirectional explosive attacks. Acquiring these 2 Paramsha fruits at this stage was a decent haul. What is this? A devil fruit power? Damn it. Let us go. Mr. 5 and Miss Valentine screamed in terror. They had tried everything. Mr. 5, especially, had continuously activated his bomb powers, but the explosions had zero effect on the binding smoke. Since eating the bomb fruit, Mr. 5 had dominated this region of the sea, never encountering such utter helplessness before. Stop struggling. Your devil fruit powers are useless against my Logia ability, Rowan stated, looking down at them with a villainous smirk. Logia. Hearing this, and seeing Mr. 5 and Miss Valentine completely powerless against Rowan, Igaram broke out in even more cold sweat. The power of Logia fruits was well known among Alabasta's high command. Crocodile, the man hailed as Alabasta's hero yet secretly manipulating the country as the boss of Baroque works. The very warlord Igaram was investigating was a Logia user himself, sand fruit. He hadn't expected Sky Sovereign Rowan to also be a Logia devil fruit user. Combined with that unbelievable power that wiped out over 100 bounty hunters with just a glance. Igaram looked at Rowan with profound fear. This is the man with the 100 million Bailey bounty. Mr. 5. Miss Valentine. Why are you here? Seeing these two high-ranking Baroque Works agents, Vivi seemed to realize something, cold sweat forming on her brow. Naturally, to eliminate you two. I was able to discover your identity. Did you really think you could keep it hidden forever? Rowan glanced at Vivi. That glance made Vivi blush furiously. It felt distinctly like the look one gives an idiot. During their voyage, Vivi had learned from Nami that Rowan's observation hockey could sense emotions and presence but couldn't actually read memories. Nami had just been bluffing to scare her. Although Vivi didn't know how Rowan knew her identity, based on that, it was entirely plausible Crocodile had discovered her infiltration as well. As for why Vivi recognized Rowan's looking at an idiot expression? Because she'd seen Rowan look at Luffy and Zoro the same way. Nearby, Zoro, seeing Vivi's reaction, looked resignedly sympathetic. Being looked at like an idiot by Rowan really doesn't feel good. Alright, enough chit-chat. Goodbye. Rowan stated, his expression turning cold. He activated his smoke fruit, intending to suffocate the two agents. Blunder. Rowan commanded inwardly, extending his hand. Whoosh. Two streams of purple light were extracted from Mr. 5 and Miss Valentine's bodies, flowing into Rowan. Gurgle. Gurgle. Under the horrified gazes of Igaram and Vivi, Mr. 5 and Miss Valentine's bodies seemed to wither, as if all their physical strength vanished instantly. Target physique energy automatically absorbed. Superhuman demonic physique, Apex Purple, enhanced. Born of the Sea, Apex Gold, activated. Armament hockey strengthened. Two notification screens appeared. Mr. 5 and Miss Valentine were extremely weak, their devil fruit usage rudimentary. Mr. 5 yielded energy equivalent to 2 base deep purple upgrade materials. Miss Valentine yielded 1. Rowan's physique and hockey strengthened slightly again. But most importantly, these two fruits significantly boosted the offensive potential of his smoke fruit. Explosion. Whoosh. A cloud of smoke enveloped a nearby building. The next moment. Boom. A terrifying explosion erupted, instantly reducing the building to rubble. New ultimate technique trait, explosive smoke, Apex Purple, a fusion of smoke and bomb fruit abilities. Anyone caught within the explosive smoke suffers 360-degree, unavoidable explosive attacks. The first ultimate technique trait manifested. The drawback of the bomb fruit was its paramsha nature. Aside from extremely special top-tier paramshas like the tremor fruit, most required direct physical contact. For ranged attacks, Mr. 5 had to resort to using explosive boogers, which was utterly disgusting and undignified. But with the smoke fruit as a medium, it was entirely different. Rowan could fill a large area with smoke, and anyone within that range would be subject to explosions. Unavoidable, omnidirectional explosions. Furthermore, Rowan could infuse armament hockey into the explosive smoke, allowing it to damage Logia users. To defend against it, one would need omnidirectional armament hockey coverage, and that hockey would need to be significantly stronger than Rowan's, considering the attack combined smoke, bomb, and armament hockey. The bomb fruit's power? Igaram and Vivi stared, their eyes nearly popping out. S.U.G. Rowan. Luffy yelled at the top of his lungs. Zoro, Usopp, and Sanji watched with awe. Rowan hadn't hidden the fact that he could use multiple devil fruit powers from them. But seeing it in action was still unbelievable. The smoke fruit alone was practically invincible against non-hockey users. Now, adding explosive power. It's not over yet. Rowan grinned, feeling fantastic. Kilo Rowan activated the Kilo fruit ability, reducing his body weight to 1 kilogram. Whoosh. A small puff of smoke appeared beneath his feet, propelling him effortlessly into the air. Very low energy consumption. Rowan noted, sensing the minimal stamina drain while flying. The smoke fruit could allow brief flight or gliding through massive smoke expulsion, But it was inefficient and draining. Combined with the kilo fruit, however, the cost became negligible. Since altering weight was the fruit's inherent power, the smoke fruit only needed to provide minimal propulsion for free directional control. No need for an umbrella like Miss Valentine. And now, Rowan looked down at the cluster of buildings that made up Whiskey Peak. VMM. Both of Rowan's fists turned jet black. Armament hockey, infusion. 10,000 kilogram, white blow bullets. Rowan rained down punches, his arms extending as smoke, only his fists remaining solid, coated in armament hockey. And thanks to the kilo fruit, each punch weighed 10 tons. Boom. 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 A storm of fists, each propelled by smoke, slammed down onto the Whiskey Peak buildings. The terrifying force instantly reduced the structures to rubble. The continuous, devastating impacts made the entire island segment tremble, dark cracks spiderwebbing across the ground where Rowan attacked. New ultimate technique trait, 10,000 kilo white blow bullets, Apex Purple, a fusion technique combining smoke, kilo, and armament hockey. Each punch carries the weight of 10 tons. Another ultimate technique trait. One more. Rowan laughed aloud. Exploding 10,000 kilogram, white blow bullets. Boom. 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 The power of the bomb fruit was infused into each punch. Rumble. The entire area began to shake violently, making even Luffy and the others stumble. Each punch possessed the reach of smoke, weighed 10 tons, and carried the explosive force of the bomb fruit. Combined with armament hockey, the power was exponentially greater than before. New ultimate technique trait, exploding 10,000 kilo white blow bullets, pale gold. The final ultimate technique trait. And Rowan's strongest attack currently. Combining the smoke, kilo, and bomb fruits with armament hockey pushed this ultimate technique beyond the Apex Purple tier, reaching pale gold. This was the power of devil fruit synergy. Although the three individual fruits were relatively mediocre, combined, their power now rivaled a T2, Tier 2, devil fruit ability. The same level as Crocodile's sand fruit. In terms of devil fruit power, Rowan was now no longer inferior to Crocodile. And Rowan also possessed hockey. Defeating Crocodile was now clearly within sight. Rowan looked down at the devastation wrought by his new technique, smiled with satisfaction, and ceased the attack. But sustaining 3 devil fruit powers simultaneously, plus armament hockey. The stamina drain really is significant. Rowan adjusted his weight back to normal and slowly descended. Whether devil fruits or hockey, using them consumed the user's stamina. And Rowan's strongest technique, drawing on 3 fruits at once, was extremely draining. No wonder it manifested as an ultimate technique trait. Such attacks were best used as finishers, not sustainable combat styles. Of course, the power was undeniably spectacular. Using this technique elevated Rowan's combat strength into the pale gold tier. SUG. That was amazing. Rowan. Luffy cheered excitedly, rushing over as Rowan landed, providing ample emotional support. Amazing. Rowan. Too strong. Staring at the completely ruined cluster of buildings, the cracked island surface revealing glimpses of the sea below, Usopp's eyes nearly popped out as he stammered in shock. An attack like that hitting a person. The result would be horrifying. So strong. Sanji and Zoro murmured, equally stunned. Rowan had gotten even stronger. Against an attack like that, they probably wouldn't last a second. Rowan. Amazing. You're really amazing. Nami bounced over excitedly, her eyes sparkling as she looked up at Rowan. Seeing Nami's adoring gaze, Rowan's already good mood from his power increase became even better. You unbelievable. This man. Igaram, who had been knocked flat by the tremors from Rowan's attack, slowly pushed himself up, swallowing hard, his eyes filled with terror. That attack contained not only Mr. Five's bomb power but also Miss Valentine's kilo ability. As captain of Alabasta's royal guard, Igaram knew something about devil fruits. Their kingdom's 2 guardian gods were zone users. A person could only eat 1 devil fruit. Eating more would cause their body to explode. Yet this man had somehow stolen the devil fruit powers from Mr. Five and Miss Valentine. And could use 3 devil fruit powers at once. A monster. This man has to be a monster. Igaram suddenly remembered something and looked nervously towards Vivi beside him. Princess Vivi. Why? Why are you traveling with Mr. Rowan? Igaram asked nervously. Addressing Rowan respectfully felt mandatory now, on these seas. Showing respect to such overwhelming power was a fundamental rule of survival. Rowan and his crew are helping us. He's going to defeat Crocodile. Vivi declared, her eyes shining brightly now. Rowan is really strong. Able to steal others' devil fruit powers, use 3 abilities simultaneously. Vivi looked at Rowan, her eyes sparkling with newfound hope. Helping us? Although Igaram had suspected something, hearing it confirmed by the princess still felt unbelievable. Then, overwhelming joy washed over him, tears streaming down his face. Your Majesty. Alabasta. Alabasta is saved. Igaram sobbed, overcome with emotion. Vivi's eyes also reddened, tears welling up. Rowan's strength finally gave them real hope. Hope of defeating the warlord crocodile. Chapter 73, Bonus, Captive Nico Robin. Robin grinds her teeth. Whiskey Peak. With observation hockey active, Rowan confirmed that the buildings he had just destroyed didn't contain any food stores. All the food and fine wine stocked here were quickly brought out by Igaram. Under Sanji's culinary magic, it was transformed into a delightful feast. Sanji also meticulously prepared the giant elephant tuna purchased back in Logue Town. Rowan, famished after experimenting with his new abilities and further empowered by his recent enhancements, found this meal exceptionally delicious. Especially the giant elephant tuna. Its nose, which he had been eager to try, was particularly unique and tasty. It possessed the tenderness and freshness of fish, yet with an incredibly satisfyingly crisp texture. Sanji's cooking skills amplified these qualities to perfection. Meanwhile, Ms. Monday, after Mr. Nine explained the situation, learned the true identities of Vivi and Igaram. Having already considered them good friends, Ms. Monday, though unable to offer much help, certainly wouldn't stand in their way. Full. So full. That was delicious. Luffy patted his stomach contentedly, letting out a happy sigh. Watching Luffy's ridiculously bloated belly, like an overinflated balloon, visibly shrink back to normal at an astonishing rate, Igaram and Vivi stared dumbfounded. Is he even human? But even that couldn't compare to that man. Igaram wiped cold sweat from his brow as he looked at Rowan, who had consumed even more food than Luffy yet was still eating, his own stomach barely distended. Are all the powerful people on these seas such fearsome eaters? Ah, satisfied. Rowan finally declared, taking a sip of a special drink Sanji had prepared, a contented smile on his face. Sanji's skills are consistently excellent. Rowan commented, offering a comprehensive critique covering flavor, texture, and presentation. Each point precisely hit upon aspects Sanji took particular pride in. This made Sanji, already happy seeing his food thoroughly enjoyed, beam even more broadly. See, Rowan gets it. Unlike those idiots Luffy and Zoro who just stuff their faces. Cooking for Rowan is a pleasure. Modified exoskeleton equipping progress increased. Rowan's smile widened as well. Princess Vivi, with Mr. Rowan and his crew accompanying you, I can finally rest assured. Igaram said, having briefly stepped away from the feast and now returning. Igaram? What are you wearing? Vivi stared wide-eyed at Igaram's current attire. PFFT ha ha ha. Curly-haired uncle. What kind of outfit is that? Luffy burst out laughing upon seeing Igaram's disguise. The others also struggled to stifle their laughter. That's quite a unique look. Rowan chuckled. Igaram had attempted to disguise himself as Vivi, but his burly frame and distinct features made the attempt utterly comical. He was also carrying several dummies. My apologies for the spectacle. The company will surely send more assassins. I intend to act as a decoy for Princess Vivi and all of you, returning to Alabasta this way. Igaram explained seriously. Baroque Works has over 2,000 agents that we know of, including high-ranking officers stronger than Mr. Five and Ms. Valentine. And Crocodile himself is treacherous. Mr. Rowan, your group is powerful, but please remain vigilant. Despite witnessing Rowan's strength, Igaram knew little about the higher-ranking agents. And they were ultimately facing Crocodile himself. A man infamous for his cunning and deceit, whose schemes had thrown Alabasta into unprecedented chaos. There was no telling what insidious tricks he might employ. Igaram felt useless, unable even to handle Mr. Five and Miss Valentine. This decoy plan was the best contribution he could make. If Princess Vivi can return safely to Alabasta and inform His Majesty of Crocodile's plot, combined with Mr. Rowan's strength, Alabasta can surely be saved. Igaram believed this fervently. 2,000? Usopp's eyes nearly popped out hearing the number. But then he looked towards Rowan. Ma. That many people are still no match for me. Sky Sovereign's partner, Usopp the Brave. Usopp puffed out his chest proudly. Only after his initial panic did Usopp remember that mere numbers meant nothing against Rowan's Conqueror's Haki. You really have a way of phrasing relying on Rowan's Haki, don't you? Zoro deadpanned, seeing right through Usopp's bravado. Next time, I could refrain from using Haki, let you get some more training. Rowan added, smiling mischievously at Usopp. Eek. Usopp's expression instantly froze, cold sweat pouring down his face. And no. Please don't, Rowan. Usopp cried, tears welling up. Over 2,000 people. Without Rowan's hockey, they'd tear me apart. Ha ha ha. Seeing Usopp's comical terror, the others burst into laughter. Even Vivi and Igaram couldn't help but smile. The tense atmosphere immediately eased. Usopp, seeing this, allowed himself a barely perceptible smile. Which, naturally, didn't escape Rowan's observation hockey, making Rowan smile too. Usopp's keen ability to read the mood and emotions of others was likely one reason why his own observation hockey, once awakened, was so potent. Princess Vivi, the eternal pose for Alabasta. Igaram said, holding out the device to Vivi. Vivi bit her lip, knowing the danger Igaram faced undertaking this decoy mission alone. But seeing the resolve in his eyes, Vivi knew denying him would cause him more pain than death itself. They were both people willing to sacrifice everything for Alabasta. Be careful, Igaram. Vivi whispered, her voice trembling slightly as she handed the eternal pose to the man who had been like an uncle to her since childhood, the man who had unhesitatingly accompanied her on this perilous infiltration mission into Baroque works. So that's an eternal pose. Nami commented, looking at the compass with its fixed needle. Thanks to Rowan, Nami already knew about these devices. Unlike log poses, which recorded the magnetic fields of islands sequentially to navigate the Grand Line towards the final island, eternal poses were locked onto the magnetic signature of a single, specific island, never changing. Well then, Mr. Rowan, I entrust Princess Vivi to your care. Igaram declared, bowing deeply to Rowan. Leave her to me. At the very least. I won't let her wear that expression again. Rowan replied with a powerful, confident smile. Vivi bit her lip again, remembering Rowan's words back at Twin Capes. Nami's eyes also shone with emotion. She knew Rowan's words were meant for her too. I can never repay you. When you reach Alabasta, please allow my wife to cook for you. Igaram said, his own eyes reddening as he looked at Vivi one last time. I look forward to it. Rowan smiled. Igaram boarded a small ship laden with dummies and slowly sailed away. Vivi watched him go, her heart filled with worry. Nami, seeing Vivi's expression, saw a reflection of her former self. She placed a comforting hand on Vivi's shoulder silently. Don't worry too much. Even if they send assassins, they won't arrive that quickly. Usopp commented, trying to lighten the mood. The next second. Boom. An explosion erupted, engulfing Igaram's ship in flames instantly. Usopp stared, mouth agape, cold sweat drenching his forehead. My jinxing mouth. It couldn't be that effective, could it? Usopp desperately wanted to slap himself. Igaram. Vivi screamed, her eyes instantly turning red. Don't worry. He's all right. Rowan stated calmly, placing a reassuring hand on Vivi's shoulder. Vivi turned, seeing the steady confidence in Rowan's expression, and inexplicably felt her panic subside significantly. Wait here. Rowan instructed. He activated his Kilo fruit, then launched himself towards the sea with a burst of smoke propulsion. The sea was vast, Rowan's current observation hockey couldn't cover the entire area. But the moment Igaram set sail, Rowan had kept his hockey focused on Igaram's ship. The instant the explosion occurred, Rowan locked onto the perpetrator's presence. Whoosh! With a roar of smoke, Rowan vanished. A short while later, Rowan reappeared. Held captive in his smoke constructs was a tall, beautiful woman with a shocked expression on her face. Miss All Sunday. Seeing the captured woman, Vivi's eyes turned red with fury and recognition. Miss All Sunday? Whose partner is she? Nami asked curiously, looking at the beautiful woman. Through Vivi's explanations, Nami and the others now understood Baroque works structure. Mr. Prefixed code names for high-ranking male agents, Miss Prefixed for their female partners. She's Crocodile's partner. We only found out Crocodile's identity by tracking her. Vivi spat, grinding her teeth. So, she was the one who attacked Igaram. Crocodile's partner. Hearing this, Usopp stared intently at the woman. I deliberately let you track me. Otherwise, how would you have discovered that secret? The woman replied, her initial shock fading, replaced by a calm, mature smile, seemingly unfazed despite being captured by Rowan's smoke. I didn't expect the legendary Sky Sovereign Rowan to also be a Logia Devil Fruit user. Such power truly lives up to the reputation. The woman commented, looking calmly at Rowan. Still composed even while captured, you live up to your reputation too. Devil Child Nico Robin, Bounty 79 million Bailey. Rowan replied evenly, looking back at Robin. 79 million? Hearing the bounty, the others gasped in shock. This beautiful, mature woman, possessed such an astonishingly high bounty? But seeing someone with that level of bounty still utterly helpless before Rowan reassured Nami and the others somewhat. I didn't expect the legendary Sky Sovereign to have heard of my name as well. Robin replied, her expression flickering almost imperceptibly at the mention of her epithet. You're quite famous. the sole survivor of the O'Hara incident. Rowan stated, looking directly into Robin's eyes. This time, Robin's composure finally cracked. Her expression changed dramatically. O'Hara incident? Nami and the others looked curious. An island of historians. Annihilated by a marine buster call because they researched the Forbidden Void Century. She is the only known survivor of that event. Rowan explained. His words made Robin's expression shift again and again. Hearing Buster call, her entire body began to tremble. The events of that day remained a deep childhood trauma. Even now, mature and composed as Robin was, mentioning it brought back the terrified 8-year-old girl within her. You joined Crocodile's side for the poneglyphs, didn't you? Alabasta possesses one. A poneglyph detailing the location of one of the 3 ancient weapons, Pluton. That's why Crocodile came to Alabasta in the first place. Rowan continued, looking intently at Robin. I didn't expect you know all our secrets. Robin stammered, biting her lip as she stared at Rowan. Since I've fallen into your hands. Just kill me. Hearing Buster call and O'Hara incident again, Robin seemed to regress into a self-destructive state, glaring defiantly at Rowan. Kill you? Then how would we find the One Piece? Rowan asked calmly. His words made Robin freeze, bewildered. What? This woman can lead us to the One Piece? Luffy immediately brightened, instantly trusting Rowan's words completely. The poneglyphs are divided into historical texts and the most special kind. The 4 Red Road poneglyphs. Only by gathering all 4 road poneglyphs can one determine the location of the final island, Laugh Tale. Therefore, to find the One Piece, one absolutely needs a historian capable of reading the ancient script. Rowan explained, looking pointedly at Robin. But she killed that girly-haired uncle. Luffy protested, though wanting to find the One Piece, his loyalty to friends always came first. Relax. She didn't kill Igaram. On the contrary, she saved him. That explosion completely obscured Igaram's escape route, allowing him to return safely to Alabasta. Rowan explained with a faint smile. Oh. So you're a good person. Then join us. Luffy instantly beamed, completely changing his tune. Vivi also breathed a sigh of relief. Why should I join you? Robin retorted, still caught in the shadow of the Buster call, glaring defiantly at Rowan. Only by gathering the 4 road poneglyphs can one reach the final island. Along the way, one will surely find other historical poneglyphs. The treasure the Pirate King left there. He claimed he left everything in that place, Rowan replied, smiling knowingly at the rebellious Robin before him. This defiant look suits her even better than the mature composure. One Piece? Robin instantly understood the implication, her eyes widening sharply. That's right. Everything is on the final island. So? Will you come with us, Nico Robin? Staying with a failure like Crocodile, who pins his hopes on an ancient weapon like Pluton, you'll never find the true history you seek. Only by following us can you achieve your dream. Your dream can only be realized by reaching the final island. The sea is vast, after all. Rowan declared, spreading his arms wide, laughing powerfully, radiating charisma. Nami and Vivi watched, their eyes shining brightly. The sea is vast? Robin murmured, looking at Rowan, her expression turning distant. She recalled Saul's words from long ago. Robin looked at Rowan, her lips parting slightly, about to say something. But before Robin could speak, Rowan's next words made her instantly furious. Besides, it's not like you have much choice. Right now. You're my captive. Rowan finished, looking at Robin with his intimidating villain expression. Robin, whose emotions had just started to soften, instantly grit her teeth, glaring murderously at Rowan. Chapter 74. After composing herself, Robin reverted to her usual mature and composed demeanor. She sipped her coffee elegantly, hardly resembling a captive woman. She watched Rowan thoughtfully. This man had already dispersed the smoke constructs, placing absolutely no restrictions on her freedom. It was as if his earlier words about her being a captive with no choice were merely a jest. Robin had a feeling that if she truly insisted on leaving right now, this man wouldn't stop her at all. He acted as if he were absolutely certain she would eventually join his crew. Interesting. A subtle, intriguing curve touched Robin's lips. Truthfully, she had no intention of leaving anyway. The information this man possessed about the poneglyphs held immense interest for her. Besides, her woman's intuition told her Rowan was telling the truth. A man like him had no reason to deceive a woman he could kill at any moment. For Robin, who had lost all her family and friends in the O'Hara incident, finding the true history was her life's sole pursuit. Even after being branded a criminal with a 79 million Bailey bounty at the age of 8, enduring countless pursuits, Robin had never abandoned this dream. Despite this, years of searching had yielded no clues about the true history. Even Robin had begun to feel disheartened. But now, This man told her the true history was on the final island, placed there by the Pirate King himself. For someone chasing a dream, the most terrifying thing wasn't the difficulty of achieving it, but the absence of hope. Now, seeing a glimmer of hope, Robin naturally wanted to seize this opportunity. Plus, this man was incredibly mysterious. Robin rested her chin elegantly on her hand, stirring her coffee thoughtfully. On these seas, the most talked about super rookie right now was undoubtedly the man before her. Sky Sovereign Rowan. Clashing with Hawkeye's Mihawk, one of the 7 warlords and the world's greatest swordsman, before even entering the Grand Line. A bounty of 100 million Bailey. This bounty wasn't like hers. Issued because her ability to read the poneglyphs posed a threat to the world government. It was genuine recognition of this man's strength. Their clash was even hailed by the papers as a clash of kings. And this man somehow knew her secrets, Crocodile's secrets, and information about the poneglyphs. He knew so many hidden truths despite supposedly never having entered the Grand Line. Powerful, mysterious. These words seemed synonymous with this man. What was most important for an excellent historian? Naturally, an insatiable curiosity to uncover the true history. Only with such curiosity could one truly pursue a past that seemed almost non-existent. This man's strength and mystery thoroughly piqued her curiosity. Robin's lips curved into an elegant smile. Shishishi. I can't wait to see what the next island is like. Luffy grinned excitedly from his special seat on the Mary's figurehead, looking out at the sea ahead. Rowan and the crew were now en route to their next destination. I can provide that information. The next island is called Little Garden. Robin offered, a knowing smile playing on her lips. Little Garden? Then leave it to Usopp the Brave to explore this island. Usopp declared boldly. The name sounded harmless enough. That island name? Sounds kinda familiar. Nami murmured thoughtfully. Mr. Sky Sovereign, you should know about this island, shouldn't you? Robin asked Rowan, looking at him with interest. Surely a man who knew so many secrets wouldn't be ignorant of this place. The prehistoric island. Little Garden. Rowan confirmed with a calm smile. Prehistoric island? Hearing this name, Vivi's expression instantly changed. Because of the Grand Line's chaotic magnetic fields, islands rarely interact. Combined with this sea's unique climate, many islands remain isolated, frozen in different eras. A prehistoric island is one still stuck in a prehistoric state. Little Garden is still in the age of dinosaurs. Rowan explained, his smile widening with genuine interest. Dinosaurs. Anyone from Earth would surely be fascinated by them. Now having the chance to see them in reality, Rowan definitely wouldn't miss it. Dinosaurs? Usopp immediately burst into tears of terror. Nami also looked frightened, instinctively grabbing Rowan's arm, then feeling a wave of reassurance from his presence. SUG. I smell adventure. Luffy's eyes shone with intense excitement. As expected of the Grand Line. It even has creatures like dinosaurs. Zoro grinned fiercely. Dinosaurs, huh? Wonder how they taste cooked. Moss head. Remember to catch some edible ones. Replenish our supplies. Sanji instructed Zoro. Hunt free. I'll hunt prey you couldn't even dream of catching. Zoro retorted deliberately. Huh? I can't pretend I didn't hear that. Just watch. The prey I bring back will put yours to shame, you idiot. Sanji flared up, veins popping on his forehead. Who are you calling an idiot? Zoro snapped back instantly, triggered by the word. The two immediately started fighting again. Shishishi. Go Zoro. Go Sanji. Luffy cheered them on from the sidelines. Don't you just stand there. Slacking off like this, when will you ever learn hockey? Rowan's intimidating gaze, radiating faint crimson-black light, fixed on Luffy from behind, making Luffy break out in a cold sweat. Wham! Rowan kicked Luffy straight into the middle of Zoro and Sanji's brawl. Whoosh! A cloud of smoke enveloped the three. Explosion. Boom. Accompanied by the screams of Zoro, Luffy, and Sanji, fiery light erupted from within the smoke. Some of that smoke is infused with the bomb fruit's power. Either figure out which parts are explosive and dodge. Which will help awaken your observation hockey. Or awaken your armament hockey to resist the blasts naturally. Train hard. Rowan called out, laughing heartily at their cries of pain. Now possessing the bomb fruit, Rowan no longer needed to physically beat hockey into them. He could mix explosive smoke into the regular smoke, training their senses and helping them awaken observation hockey. Besides, watching the three get blown up was decent post-meal entertainment. Don't worry. Nami said gently, walking over to Vivi and taking her hand with a smile. Seeing Vivi reminded Nami of her own past self as a thief in the East Blue. Thank you, Nami. Vivi replied, squeezing Nami's hand, a small smile gracing her lips. With Rowan here, everything will be alright. Nami added confidently, her eyes sparkling as she looked towards Rowan. Vivi nodded, watching Rowan laugh while tormenting the other three with explosive smoke. Her eyes also held a subtle shimmer, causing such a ruckus. Was it to distract her from her worries? She did feel less anxious now. Vivi offered a small, genuine smile. Robin watched the chaos aboard the Mary and smiled faintly too. This pirate crew really is different from the others. Rowan, while continuing to blast Luffy and the others amidst their screams, kept his observation hockey focused on Robin. She didn't offer an eternal pose to bypass Little Garden like in the original story. Looks like she wants to observe me more on this island. Rowan smirked inwardly, unconcerned. Looking out towards the vast sea, Rowan's eyes shone with startling intensity. Through feedback from the system, Rowan had reached a conclusion: he should be able to perfectly acquire the traits from those two giants. Little Garden. Being a prehistoric island frozen in the age of dinosaurs, the flora and fauna here were also enormous. Even approaching the island, the surrounding sea teemed with unusually large fish and dolphins. Upon entering Little Garden itself, monstrous roars echoed intermittently from the dense jungle. Giant, grotesque birds soared through the sky, reinforcing the prehistoric atmosphere. Adventure! Adventure! Sanji! My pirate lunchbox! Luffy yelled excitedly, captivated by the ancient jungle teeming with primeval energy. Wait right there. Sanji replied, rolling his eyes. Soon, the lunchboxes were ready, and Luffy charged eagerly into the jungle. Stupid cook. Watch me bring back a giant prey you couldn't even touch. Watch me bring back prey that'll make you ashamed, Mosshead. Zoro and Sanji shot each other glares, then headed off in separate directions into the jungle. Rowan, aren't you going exploring? You seemed so excited before we arrived. Vivi asked curiously, noticing Rowan hadn't joined the others heading into the jungle. Well, I'd need to be able to move first, wouldn't I? Rowan replied helplessly, gesturing towards Nami, who was clinging tightly to his arm. Nearby, Usopp considered hugging Rowan's leg for safety but quickly decided against it. What if Rowan decided to train him with explosive smoke too? Throughout the journey here, Luffy and the others had screamed constantly from the explosions. Luckily, their inhuman physiques allowed them to recover quickly. Usopp knew his own body couldn't take that kind of abuse. Wah! Can't we just wait on the ship until the log pose sets? Nami pleaded cutely, looking up at Rowan. But I want to see dinosaurs. Rowan replied, looking fondly at Nami. Fine. I'll go with you then. Nami stammered, biting her lip, her expression one of tragic, self-sacrificing determination. Forget it. Let's just wait here for a bit. Rowan chuckled, gently flicking Nami's nose. He sat down on the deck. Why yeah. Staying on the ship is much better. Usopp exclaimed, feeling immensely relieved that Rowan was staying. I'll stay too then. Vivi said, sitting down beside Nami with crew. Compared to exploring, Vivi felt calmer just being near Rowan. I suspect Mr. Sky Sovereign isn't staying behind solely because of the navigator, am I wrong? Robin asked Rowan with keen interest. Being too clever isn't always good, Miss Historian. Rowan replied, mimicking Robin's earlier tone with a smile. Compared to seeing dinosaurs, Rowan prioritized enhancing his own strength. The giant, Brogy, should be arriving soon. Drawn by the scent of alcohol, likely from their earlier ritual. Besides, time was plentiful, he'd surely see dinosaurs eventually. What do you mean? What are you two talking about? Nami asked, confused. Because this isn't just a normal prehistoric island, Miss Navigator. Don't you find it strange that an island teeming with dinosaurs and prehistoric beasts is called Little Garden? Robin asked Nami, smiling knowingly. Wait a second. Nami suddenly remembered something and dashed into the cabin. A moment later, she rushed back out, clutching a logbook from her collection, her face pale. She immediately latched onto Rowan, refusing to let go. What's wrong? Vivi asked anxiously, sensing Nami's sudden fear, subconsciously moving closer to Rowan and grabbing his arm as well. Don't scare me, Nami. Usopp yelled, cold sweat pouring down his face. The reason it's called Little Garden is because this island, filled with dinosaurs and giant beasts, is nothing more than a backyard garden. To the beings who live here, Rowan explained calmly, turning his gaze towards a massive shadow approaching through the trees. Right. Mr. Giant? Rowan finished, laughing heartily as the colossal figure emerged. Check traits. Rowan commanded inwardly. Brogy traits, giant physique, pale gold, overdrawn, innate warrior, special. Giant physique, pale gold, overdrawn, the powerful physique possessed by the giant race. However, due to a century of continuous battle, the body is completely overdrawn, weakening the physique's energy. Innate warrior, special, a pure-blooded giant of Elbaf. Upon reaching adulthood, automatically possesses immense strength inherent to their bloodline. Even if power is lost, as long as they haven't reached old age, can rapidly recover to peak strength. Rowan looked at Brogy's traits, understanding flashing in his eyes. No wonder Brogy and Dory performed so poorly on Little Garden in the original story, getting tricked by Mr. 3. A century of non-stop dueling. Over 70,000 battles between them. Even for giants, such relentless combat had completely overdrafted their physiques. Exhausted to that extent, hockey naturally became unusable. Their physical energy was infinitely weakened, currently only registering at the pale gold level. And the reason Brogy and Dory could go from being vulnerable to Mr. 3's wax fruit on Little Garden to fighting against the 5 elders during the Egghead incident, recovering their strength so quickly, was because of this innate warrior, special, trait. Giants were born warriors. Upon reaching adulthood, they automatically gained immense power from their bloodline. And even if their bodies were completely overdrawn, weakening their physical energy infinitely, as long as they were still in their prime, not elderly, they could rapidly recover to peak condition after a period of rest. But the drawback was also obvious: bloodline determinism. Pure-blooded giants. Their potential strength was largely predetermined at birth. Like Prince Loki, destined from birth to be the strongest giant of his generation. Such bloodline-based power systems were common tropes. But this works perfectly for him. Rowan's eyes gleamed with startling intensity. No wonder the system indicated he could perfectly acquire the physique trait energy from Dory and Brogy. Because even if he took their physical energy, Dory and Brogy could quickly recover their strength just by resting back on Elbaf. Rowan's mind already formulated the perfect plan to obtain the physique trait energy from both Dory and Brogy simultaneously. Gabba. Greetings, little humans who've reached this place. Brogy let out his signature booming laugh. Giant. Nami screamed, tears streaming down her face as she clung desperately onto Rowan. Usopp simply rolled his eyes back and collapsed onto the deck, playing dead. Vivi's face turned deathly pale as well, grabbing Rowan's other arm tightly. Just then, a dinosaur lunged out, biting onto Brogy's back. Didn't you see I have guests? Bastard! Brogy roared, swinging his giant axe casually. The dinosaur's head flew off cleanly. Nami and Vivi screamed again, burying their faces into Rowan's chest from opposite sides. I am Brogy, the strongest warrior of Elbaf. Brogy declared proudly after dispatching the dinosaur, laughing towards Rowan. Rowan. Future king of the seas. Rowan laughed back boldly. Gabba. A spirited human. Interesting. Care to visit my home? By the way, do you have any booze? Brogy laughed uproariously. Of course, we do. The question is, can you handle it? Ha ha ha. Rowan laughed back confidently, holding Nami and Vivi close, meeting Brogy's gaze without flinching. Can handle it. Gabba. Too interesting, Rowan. Brogy laughed until tears streamed down his face. Giants. Robin murmured, watching the colossal figure, then looking at Rowan, who stood fearlessly before the giant, laughing just as powerfully, appearing even more commanding in comparison. A nostalgic, familiar warmth filled her eyes. Chapter 75, Bonus, Annihilation. The Giant Soth. Whoosh. Flames roared to life, roasting chunks of dinosaur meat, filling the air with a primal, savory aroma. Gabba. Don't be shy. Eat up. Dinosaur meat is delicious. Consider it repayment for the booze you brought. Brogy boomed with his signature laugh. Rowan didn't hesitate, grabbing the largest piece and taking a hefty bite. Not bad. He commented, smiling. It was his first time eating dinosaur meat. Though simply seasoned, the flavor was good. A primal, meaty taste, somewhat akin to chicken, which made sense, given the evolutionary link, but richer, juicier, and firmer in texture. Rowan used his superhuman demonic physique to digest the meat, noting that while not as nutrient-dense as sea king meat, it was still significantly better than ordinary animal meat. You guys try some too. You won't find dinosaur meat anywhere else. Rowan encouraged Nami and the others. He's right. Gabba. Brogy laughed heartily. With Rowan present, Nami felt confident enough to overcome her fear of the giant, unlike her potential reaction in the original story where she might have feared being eaten. She cautiously carved off a small piece with her knife and tasted it. The flavor is very unique. Nami remarked, her eyes widening slightly. The novelty combined with the primal taste made it quite an experience. Vivi and Robin also tentatively sampled the prehistoric flavor. Mr. Brogy, how long will it take for the log bows to set on this island? Nami asked, looking up. Despite Rowan's presence, this was still a prehistoric island teeming with dangerous creatures. Nami was eager to leave as soon as possible. Plus, Vivi's country was in turmoil, Returning sooner was crucial. Vivi immediately looked up as well, anxious to get back home. 1 year. Brogy replied cheerfully between bites of meat and gulps of booze. 1 year? Vivi and Nami exclaimed simultaneously. Isn't there any way to make it record faster? A year is too long. Vivi cried, standing up in panic, her fear of the giant momentarily forgotten. If they were stuck here for a year, who knew what would happen to Alabasta? Calm down, Vivi. Rowan said, placing a reassuring hand on her shoulder. Rowan. Vivi turned, and seeing his calm expression, feeling the warmth from his hand, her anxiety inexplicably subsided. Rowan must have a plan. Have you forgotten why Crocodile targeted Alabasta in the first place? It's because of the poneglyph there detailing the location of Pluton, one of the 3 ancient weapons. The only person currently capable of reading that poneglyph is right here with us. The initiative is ours. Crocodile is the one who should be panicking. If I'm not mistaken. Pursuers should already be on their way to this island, shouldn't they? Right, Miss Historian? Rowan asked, looking towards Robin with a smile. A brilliant analysis. Robin replied, her lips curving elegantly. Power and intellect. Both crucial for survival on these seas. This man possessed not only immense strength but also remarkable intelligence. He really fits the description of a future king of the seas. Robin's interest deepened. So, we just need to wait here for them to deliver themselves to us. And to get here, to retrieve Miss Historian. What do they need? Rowan prompted Vivi with a smile. An eternal pose for Alabasta. Vivi blurted out excitedly. Exactly. So sit down and enjoy the food. Rowan chuckled. Thank you, Rowan. Vivi murmured gratefully, amazed at how Rowan had resolved her worries with just a few words. It seemed no problem was too difficult for him. Vivi looked at Rowan, her eyes shining brightly. You humans talk too complicated. Warriors of Elbaf only need to think about one thing, fighting. Gabababa. Brogy declared, finding their conversation confusing and returning his focus to eating and drinking. Rumble. Just then, the volcano on Little Garden erupted briefly. Time's up. Brogy's expression instantly shifted, becoming that of a focused warrior. Are they here? Rowan's eyes lit up. What's going on? Usopp asked nervously. That's the signal. The signal for my duel with the other guy. A duel that's lasted 100 years. Brogy laughed. Duel? 100 years? With who? Why? Usopp fired off questions. The reason? I forgot long ago. Now, it's just for the honor of an Elbaf warrior. Gabababa. Brogy stood up, throwing his head back with a booming laugh. Dory. Brogy roared, looking towards the distance. There, another equally massive figure stood, gazing back at Brogy with fierce fighting spirit. Ja. Brogy. Dory replied with his own signature laugh. Whoosh. The next moment, the 2 giants charged, colliding with tremendous force. Boom. The impact sent shockwaves radiating outwards. SSUG. They're aiming for each other's vital points. And they've been fighting like this for 100 years? Usopp stared blankly, utterly dumbfounded. Fighting to the death for 100 years without remembering the reason? Nami watched the giants clash, finding it hard to believe. This is what it means to be a warrior of the sea. Fighting for honor. Rowan laughed heartily. For the warriors of Elbaf, honor was everything. Though perhaps single-minded, did a true man's battle really need complex reasons? That's right. I want to become a man with that kind of noble sense of honor. Usopp declared, his eyes shining with newfound determination. Vivi watched Rowan laugh, pressing her lips together. As an 18-year-old princess, she couldn't fully comprehend the philosophy Rowan spoke of. But watching him, listening to him, her heart pounded inexplicably fast. Clang. After over a century of continuous battle, Dory and Brogy's physical energy was long since depleted. Their current fights couldn't last long, the stamina recovered during brief rests was quickly exhausted. Soon, both Dory and Brogy were panting heavily. It's been over 100 years. I'm starting to miss home, Brogy. Dory gasped, laughing. Then I'll just have to defeat you and return to Elbaf. Brogy retorted, laughing breathlessly. The next moment, their smiles vanished, replaced by deadly seriousness as they prepared for one final, all-out blow. Roar. Both giants bellowed, swinging their weapons towards each other's vital points. Squelch. Just then, thick white wax suddenly erupted from the ground beneath Dory's feet. What? Already committed to his attack, his body's momentum thrown forward, Dory stepped onto the unexpected wax and instantly lost his balance. Roar. Brogy's axe descended towards the vulnerable Dory. Clang. Rowan? Nami and the others cried out in alarm. Rowan had suddenly appeared directly in front of Brogy's descending axe, his fist, coated in armament hockey, blocking the massive blow. The strength of a giant. Truly immense. Rowan thought, feeling the force transmitted through his fist, his eyes narrowing. Even completely exhausted, their strength was incredible. As expected of innate warriors. Rowan. What are you doing? Brogy roared, his eyes turning red. Calm down, Brogy. Look at Dory's feet. Rowan replied coldly. The bomb fruit was taken. Did Mr. 3 attack earlier than expected? His feet? Brogy looked down and saw the thick layer of hardened wax trapping Dory. What is this? Did this thing make you lose your balance, Dory? Brogy bellowed, his eyes bloodshot with fury. Winning an unfair duel was a warrior's shame. Interfering with a sacred duel between warriors? Cowardly scum. Show yourself. Boom. A tyrannical crimson-black light flared violently in Rowan's eyes. The next moment, it erupted outwards like a physical storm, accompanied by Rowan's enraged roar. Crimson-black lightning crackled wildly through the air. The massive jungle vegetation warped and bent under the force of the tangible conqueror's hockey storm. Countless prehistoric creatures within the jungle instantly went white-eyed and collapsed unconscious. See conqueror's hockey? Dory and Brogy stared, their giant eyes wide with disbelief. This man possessed the disposition of a king. Seeing the hockey already causing tangible physical effects, Dory and Brogy were stunned. They could tell this man was incredibly young, yet he possessed hockey of this level. Deep within the jungle, several Baroque Orcs agents were gathered. Mr. 3 and Miss Golden Week, Mr. 1 and Ms. Doublefinger. Just as Rowan suspected, after losing contact with Robin, Crocodile grew impatient and dispatched his trump card early. The Mr. 1 pair. To Little Garden to intercept Vivi and retrieve Robin. Boom. Mr. 3. Miss Golden Week. Miss Doublefinger stared incredulously as Mr. 3 and Miss Golden Week suddenly went white-eyed and collapsed unconscious. Mr. 3's combat strength was only average, even weaker than Mr. 4, his rank owing more to his cunning. But he was still the user of the wax fruit. Yet he fainted just from that man's roar. Thud. Mr. 1 dropped to one knee, his face contorted in pain. Mr. 1. Seeing even Mr. 1. The most terrifyingly strong among them. Affected, Miss Doublefinger's eyes filled with horror. What is this power? Thump. Thump. Two more heavy thuds sounded as an otter and a vulture fell unconscious from the sky nearby. The unluckies? What in the world happened? Miss Doublefinger looked around frantically. Among the high-ranking agents present, only she remained unaffected and able to move freely. Found you. Just then, a cold voice sounded nearby, making Miss Doublefinger's pupils constrict, cold sweat drenching her body. White blow. Whoosh. Several streams of spiraling smoke descended from above, instantly capturing the remaining agents. Sky Sovereign Rowan? Seeing the man floating effortlessly in the air, his arms transformed into smoke, Miss Doublefinger stared in horror. Her own devil fruit ability was completely useless against this power. Thump. Thump. With several heavy thuds, the captured agents were dropped unceremoniously before Vivi, Nami, and the others. Mr. 1. Mr. 3. Miss Golden Week. The unluckies? And this person is the owner of Spider's Cafe? Vivi gasped, covering her mouth as she recognized the captives. Miss Doublefinger's identity was top secret, second only to Crocodile himself. She usually operated under the guise of the Spider's Cafe owner, a Baroque Orc's contact point. Her true identity is Mr. 1's partner, Miss Doublefinger. Robin commented calmly, unsurprised by their presence. Mr. 1 was Crocodile's strongest subordinate, sending him to check on her status was expected. Miss All Sunday. Have you betrayed the company? Miss Doublefinger hissed, glaring at Robin, cold sweat beading on her forehead. Crocodile's identity was absolutely top secret, known only to Robin. Thus, Robin effectively served as Baroque Orc's second-in-command, relaying Crocodile's orders. For such a figure to defect. I was captured, Miss Doublefinger. Robin replied with a faint smile. But Miss Doublefinger didn't buy it. Robin didn't look like a captive at all. However, Miss Doublefinger had no time to dwell on Robin's situation. Because that terrifying man, Rowan, was approaching, accompanied by the two giants. The wax fruit user. He was the one who used cheap tricks just now. Rowan stated coldly, looking down at the unconscious Mr. 3. Bastard. Brogy roared, his eyes bloodshot. With one swing of his massive axe, he ended Mr. 3's life. Blunder. Before Mr. 3's body was completely pulverized, Rowan extracted the wax fruit trait and associated physical energy. After absorption, it yielded two deep purple upgrade materials. Mr. 3's strength really wasn't much. Only relied on the wax fruit's properties for combat effectiveness. Vivi. That bundle has what you need. Rowan indicated the dropped package carried by the unluckies. Vivi blinked, Then realization dawned. She rushed towards the Unlucky's bundle and found it. The eternal pose for Alabasta. Vivi's eyes shone with relief and joy. Whoosh! Rowan landed gently back on the ground. Rowan. I found it, the eternal pose for Alabasta. Vivi rushed over to Rowan excitedly, throwing her arms around him and jumping up and down. That is. I got too excited. Vivi quickly realized her actions, blushed furiously, and let go of Rowan, glancing cautiously towards Nami. Nami simply smiled back at Vivi. She understood the feeling. Thud. Thud. Just then, to the astonishment of Nami and the others, Dory and Brogy knelt before Rowan, performing the solemn salute of Elbaf warriors. Apologies. We doubted your intentions earlier, suspected you would interfere with our duel. Brogy stated gravely. You protected the honor of our duel. Rowan, we are eternally indebted. Dory added, having learned Rowan's name from Brogy's earlier shout, his expression equally solemn. Rowan. From this day forward. You are our eternal friend. Upon these seas, should you ever have need of us. No matter where you are, we shall come. We swear this in the name of Elbaf's god. Dory and Brogy declared in unison, looking at each other, then back at Rowan. For the warriors of Elbaf, honor was more important than life itself. A duel concerning honor was the pursuit of their lifetime. Rowan saving the honor of their duel meant more to them than saving their lives. Giants, towards friends they truly acknowledged, would brave fire and water anywhere on the seas if needed. This was the giant's oath. Their promise. Chapter 76, Hockey and Physique Advance. Fusion Technique, Hikaku Sovereignty. Deep Gold Trait. SSUG. This is a warrior's oath. Usopp stared wide-eyed, watching Dory and Brogy solemnly pledge their loyalty. Nami and Vivi's eyes sparkled. The Oath of Giants. Robin murmured, her eyes reflecting a deep emotion. Her dearest childhood friend, Saul, had been a giant. The god of Elbaf. Their faith was more important than life itself to every giant there. Swearing an oath in their god's name meant these two powerful giants would truly come to Rowan's aid whenever he needed them, no matter where on the seas he might be. To earn such a commitment from giants. This man was truly remarkable. Hey! Rowan, you guys are here too. Luffy, who had been visiting Dory's camp, ran over upon seeing the commotion. Ja, so you're all together, then you must be pirates too. Dory laughed heartily upon seeing they knew each other. That's right. Rowan confirmed with a smile. Gaba Baba, we used to be pirates too. Time flies. It's already been 100 years. Dory, why did we start dueling here again anyway? Hearing the word pirates stirred memories in Brogy, and he looked towards Dory thoughtfully. Yeah. Why was it again? Dory rubbed his chin. Rowan, look. See whose prey is bigger. Just then, Zoro and Sanji burst out from the jungle, each dragging a massive dinosaur carcass. Giants? Zoro and Sanji stopped dead in their tracks upon seeing Dory and Brogy. Probably the same reason as these two. Arguing over whose catch is bigger. Rowan laughed, gesturing towards Zoro and Sanji. Surely two giant uncles wouldn't be as childish as them. Vivi commented with a smile. That's it. I remember now. It was because of these skeletons. These were our prey. Dory and Brogy suddenly exclaimed, giant eyes widening as they slapped their heads. Hey! Dory, look at this skeleton. Even without the meat, my prey's skeleton is still bigger than yours. What nonsense are you talking, Brogy? Mine is clearly bigger. Dory and Brogy started arguing loudly again. The seemingly innocuous question from a little girl centuries ago, wondering whose hunt was bigger, had sparked their 100-year duel. The two colossal skeletons that almost spanned the island were the remnants of their catches from that day. They really? Vivi exclaimed, clutching her head with a cute, sharp-toothed expression. Ha ha ha, as men of the sea, how could they admit their catch was smaller than someone else's? Rowan roared with laughter. As an avid fisherman back on Earth, Rowan deeply understood this competitive spirit. Dory and Brogy's 100-year argument hadn't yielded a result then, and their current debate quickly fizzled out too. After agreeing to continue their competition later, they turned back to Rowan. We truly don't know how to thank you. You even helped us remember why we started fighting. Brogy and Dory laughed heartily. Although for Elbaf warriors, the battle itself ultimately became about honor, eclipsing the original reason, remembering why they had dueled for a century still brought them immense joy. Actually, there is one thing. Rowan stated, looking seriously at Dory and Brogy. Really? What is it? We'll definitely do our best. Dory and Brogy instantly brightened, eager to help. For warriors of Elbaf, repaying debts of gratitude was ingrained in their very being. Having received so much help from Rowan, Yet only being able to offer a future promise felt insufficient. Now that Rowan needed something, Dory and Brogy were practically itching for action. I need your strength, Rowan stated directly, without any pretense. Towards warriors who valued honor above all, making excuses felt wrong. Protecting the sanctity of their duel earlier was genuine, wanting their physique traits now was also genuine. Rowan needed this power. He looked openly at Brogy and Dory. Our strength? Of course, no problem. If you need it, we'd brave fire and water for you. Dory and Brogy declared simultaneously, pounding their chests. It's easier to explain using my ability, Rowan said, raising his hand towards the two giants. Gurgle. Gurgle. A wall of white wax instantly materialized before them. Mr. 3's wax fruit ability? Mr. 1 and Miss Doublefinger, still restrained by smoke, stared incredulously. That was undeniably the power of the now deceased Mr. 3. I can take the power of others. Devil fruit abilities, physique, everything. And I can wield multiple devil fruit powers simultaneously, Rowan stated frankly, looking at Dory and Brogy. You unbelievable. Such an ability exists. Dory and Brogy exchanged shocked glances, horror dawning in their eyes. Even having lived for centuries, they had never heard of such a power. Devil fruits were treasures of the sea. Even among giants, powerful fruits were highly coveted. But everyone knew. You could only eat one fruit. Eating more meant certain death. Yet this man could wield multiple abilities. And worse, he could steal everything from others? What a dangerous ability. What terrifying power. Even with their warrior hearts, Dory and Brogy felt a chill of fear. This ability. Robin stared wide-eyed at Rowan, equally stunned. She already knew Rowan could use multiple devil fruit powers, having seen him use Mr. 5's and Miss Valentine's abilities during their voyage. That itself was incredible enough, leading her to guess he could steal fruit powers. She also knew he defied the devil fruit curse, able to swim freely. She thought that was the limit of his mysterious abilities. But now, his true power was to steal everything from others? This power was too frightening, too dangerous. Yet, accompanying danger and terror was mystery. Looking at Rowan, Robin's eyes shone brightly. This incredibly mysterious man. His claims about the true history seemed even more credible now. Perhaps following Rowan, she truly could achieve her lifelong dream. And Robin now found herself increasingly interested in unraveling Rowan's secrets. So, I need your physical energy. I need to help that girl save her country. I know you are innate warriors, even losing this physical energy, as long as you are in your prime, you can quickly recover your strength. Rowan stated honestly, looking at Dory and Brogy. While his calculations suggested he could likely defeat Crocodile as he was now, acquiring the physical traits of two giants would provide an extra layer of security. The fortune of an entire warlord was at stake. Rowan refused to allow any chance of failure. You know quite a lot about us Elboth warriors, Gable Baba. Brogy laughed upon hearing Rowan's words. Ja. That's right, we are born warriors. Though our bodies are overdrawn after a century of fighting, possessing only a fraction of our peak strength. With enough rest and sustenance, we can quickly return to our prime. Dory laughed as well. Now they understood why Rowan wanted their physical energy. Because even if he took it, they could recover relatively quickly. Rowan. Vivi murmured, deeply moved hearing Rowan's words. She was really fortunate to have met Rowan in her darkest hour. All right. Our strength is yours to take. Our friend. Dory and Brogy declared solemnly after laughing, looking seriously at Rowan. They greatly appreciated Rowan's honesty. Warriors of Elboth preferred straightforwardness. Towards Rowan, who had shown them such great kindness, they would offer even their lives, let alone their physical strength. Wait. If you lose all your physical energy, doesn't that mean your future battles will be purely contests of will and honor? Since you'll both be much weaker than now. Overcoming weakness, isn't that what makes a true warrior? Usopp suddenly exclaimed, his eyes shining brightly. Dory and Brogy both turned towards Usopp. Gababa. Ja. The next moment, both giants burst into thunderous laughter. He's right. We've competed over who's stronger, whose prey is bigger. But we've never competed over whose will is stronger after losing our strength. Dory and Brogy looked at each other, fighting spirit gleaming in their eyes. Dare to compete? They roared simultaneously at each other. Bring it on. They bellowed back, pressing their foreheads together. Come on, Rowan. Help us get rid of this cumbersome strength, we want to compete. See whose will is stronger. Dory and Brogy looked eagerly towards Rowan. Rowan hadn't expected this turn of events. Can only say that Usopp, being naturally weak himself, had a unique perspective on such matters. All right. But to take your power, I need. Rowan started to explain the need for them to lose consciousness, but then noticed the plunderable status displayed on both Dory's and Brogy's traits. His eyes narrowed. What's wrong? Can't you take our strength? Dory and Brogy asked anxiously. No. I can do it right now. Rowan replied, looking at Dory and Brogy with a surprised smile. This was the first time he'd encountered this situation. Plunder. Rowan's eyes focused intensely. Two streams of golden light, visible only to Rowan, flew from Brogy and Dory's bodies, merging into Rowan. Gurgle. Gurgle. Dory and Brogy's bodies visibly shrank, their prominent muscles rapidly disappearing, leaving them somewhat weakened, sitting on the ground. Gaba baba. Jejjeja. But Dory and Brogy suddenly burst into laughter again. Incredible, I feel like I've returned to the embrace of the god of Elbaf. When we were first born, didn't we also have no strength? They laughed and laughed. I see. Worthy of being warriors of Elbaf. Rowan looked at the two giants, admiration shining in his eyes. Rowan understood now why they didn't need to be unconscious for him to plunder their traits. Normally, the plundering process induced extreme fear and horror as the target felt their power being stripped away. This intense emotion interfered with the plundering. Even if someone willingly agreed, overcoming that primal terror wasn't easy. But Dory and Brogy could overcome it. They even viewed it as returning their strength to their god. Truly. Warriors of Elbaf. Fusing physique energy. Superhuman demonic physique, apex purple, advancing. Trait tier up. Promoted to, superhuman demonic physique, pale gold. Born of the sea, apex gold, trait activated. Armament hockey, apex purple, advancing. Trait tier up. Promoted to, armament hockey, pale gold. Physique undergoes qualitative change. Manifested senses enhanced. Born of the sea, apex gold, trait activated observation hockey, deep purple, enhanced. Trait tier up. Promoted to, observation hockey, apex purple. A cascade of notifications appeared. Observation hockey was the manifestation and extension of the user's 5 senses. When one's physique underwent a qualitative change, the senses naturally sharpened. Under the effect of the Born of the Sea hockey training cheat code, observation hockey upgraded naturally alongside it. Physique advanced. Hockey advanced. Rowan now possessed 2 pale gold tier combat traits. Rip. Rowan tore off his upper shirt. Rowan? Vivi and Nami blushed, staring at Rowan's exposed upper body. The powerful, defined muscle lines captivated their attention. Armament. Rowan's eyes narrowed. VMM. Clang. That's. Zoro, Sanji, and Luffy stared wide-eyed. Usopp gaped blankly at Rowan. Vivi, Nami, and even Robin watched, somewhat stunned. Rowan. His entire body was now coated in armament hockey, turning completely jet black, as if clad in a suit of super armament hockey armor. Full body armament. Astonishing armament hockey, Rowan. Dory and Brogy, with their experienced eyes, exclaimed in awe. On these seas, only peak users of hockey could achieve such a feat. Rowan felt the current strength of his armament hockey, a powerful curve touching his lips. This feeling was very good. Hockey of this level, even in the New World, was comparable to high-ranking officers in an emperor's crew. Within the Marines, only the true elite vice admirals possessed such mastery. But the gains didn't stop there. Fusing physique energy from 2 different giants. Fusion technique trait acquired. Hikeka sovereignty, deep gold. Hikeka sovereignty, deep gold, spear of Elbaf. A combination attack requiring the concerted effort of 2 giants. A fusion technique trait formed by merging the physique energy of 2 different giants, capable of unleashing an astonishing shockwave. A deep gold tier. Skill trait. This technique's combat power reached the 4 Emperor's commander threshold. Spear of Elbaf. Hikeku sovereignty. An incredible crimson black light flashed in Rowan's eyes. Boom. Conqueror's hockey erupted outwards, luring the giant goldfish lurking off Little Garden's coast to the surface. Clang. Rowan slammed his fists together. Under the disbelieving gazes of Dory and Brogy, he thrust his combined fists forward. Hikeku sovereignty. A terrifying shockwave exploded outwards. The ground before Rowan instantly shattered. A deep trench tore across the land as the shockwave advanced, obliterating everything in its path. Then it slammed into the giant goldfish slowly surfacing from the sea. Boom. The shockwave instantly blasted clean through the massive goldfish, continuing onwards, carving a huge trench through the ocean itself. Looking down from above, a terrifying scar now stretched from Rowan's position far out into the sea. As if a prehistoric giant had stabbed the very earth and ocean with a colossal spear. Spear of Elbaf. Hikeku sovereignty. Chapter 77, Luffy, Zoro, Sanji, and Usopp stared wide-eyed, their mouths agape, utterly speechless. Before them stretched a chasm. A scar torn through the island, as if a prehistoric giant had thrust a spear through the very earth and sea. The shockwave Rowan unleashed had blasted straight through the jungle, pierced the island-sized goldfish in the ocean, and continued far out into the distant waters. Such a display of power. For Luffy and the others, who had only just entered the Grand Line, was like having a door kicked open to an entirely new world of possibilities. Especially for Zoro. Though he had clashed with Mihawk back in the East Blue, that encounter was a crushing defeat. His opponent hadn't revealed any of his true strength. Later, witnessing the clash of conquerors hockey between Rowan and Mihawk had already broadened Zoro's horizons immensely. But only now did Zoro truly begin to grasp the absurd levels of power possessed by the true titans of this sea. However, this realization didn't dampen Zoro's spirit. Instead, it ignited a fierce fire within him. This kind of challenge. This was what made it interesting. This was precisely why he had set out to sea. As for surpassing Mihawk and becoming the world's greatest swordsman, Zoro held absolute faith in himself. It wasn't just his own steadfast determination. Rowan himself had declared that he, Zoro, was the man destined to become the world's greatest swordsman. Rowan. Nami and Vivi covered their mouths, staring blankly at the scene before them. They knew Rowan was strong, of course. But what they just witnessed shattered their perception of reality. A single punch. Carving a trench through a jungle and across the sea? Such power felt beyond human capability, it seemed almost godlike. Especially for Vivi. If previously she merely saw hope in Rowan defeating Crocodile, now, she felt absolute confidence. Vivi had seen Crocodile fight before. To maintain his image as Alabasta's hero, Crocodile often dealt with pirates causing trouble in the kingdom. His sand fruit ability was undeniably powerful, capable of conjuring terrifying sandstorms. But its destructive display paled in comparison to the sheer force of Rowan's single attack. It wasn't even close. Vivi gazed at Rowan, her eyes shining brightly. Beside her, Robin's eyes also held immense shock. As a survivor of Ohara, Robin's knowledge of the world far surpassed Nami's and Vivi's. Though she had encountered many powerful individuals, she had been too weak then to witness their true strength. A display of power on this scale. Robin had never seen anything like it before. No wonder. This man dared to take her in, knowing her past and the fact that she faced the monolithic world government. Following this man, perhaps her dream truly could be realized. And perhaps she could finally find a place where she truly belonged. Robin's eyes began to shine as well. Branded with a 79 million Bailey bounty since the age of 8, despite possessing the flower fruit, Robin had only ever survived by hiding in the shadows. Since the Ohara incident, the vast sea held no safe haven for her. Every temporary refuge eventually turned hostile upon learning her identity, seeking to trade her for the bounty. Betrayal and pursuit had been constants in her life. Although Rowan knew the truth about Ohara, Robin hadn't previously believed he possessed the power to truly contend with the world government. She assumed she would eventually have to leave his crew as well. But now, Robin felt things might be different. The ability to steal everything from others. Such a vicious, dangerous power, unheard of. Who could possibly predict the future of a man possessing such strength? Perhaps this man truly could challenge the world government someday. A place to belong. For Robin, who had endured the horrors of Ohara at age 8 and lived a life defined by pursuit and betrayal ever since, this desire was second only to her lifelong quest to find the true history. And now, in this man, Rowan, Robin truly saw hope. Hope for achieving both of her greatest dreams. Robin's eyes shone with a newfound, intense brilliance. Compared to the stunned onlookers, Dory and Brogy were even more flabbergasted. That was our Spear of Elbaf. Hikaku's sovereignty. Unbelievable. Rowan. You can use Hikaku's sovereignty? Dory and Brogy stared, their giant eyes wide with utter disbelief. Hikaku's sovereignty. The Spear of Elbaf. The technique symbolizing the ultimate honor of Elbaf warriors. Even among Elbaf's giants, only the most exceptional warriors could master such an attack. And performing it required the combined effort of 2 such warriors. Unbelievably, this man had seemingly learned it instantly. And could unleash it alone. At this moment, even the proud warrior hearts of Brogy and Dory were overwhelmed with shock and awe. The stamina drain is certainly significant. Rowan commented, extremely satisfied with Hikaku's sovereignty's power. But as expected of a deep gold-tier skill trait. And one fueled purely by physical energy. It was demanding. Even Haki wasn't simply coated onto the attack's surface like usual, it felt integrated within the shockwave itself. And even with Rowan's current physique and Haki levels, he could likely only fire it once in short succession. It was definitely his ultimate trump card for now. Physique and Haki both at pale gold tier. plus the synergistic combination of the smoke, bomb, and kilo fruits. Even within the pale gold combat tier, Rowan's current strength was absolutely among the forefront. Add the deep gold Hikaku sovereignty technique. Crocodile was now completely beneath Rowan's notice. Thank you both, truly. Rowan said sincerely, turning to Dory and Brogy. Gaba Baba. Rowan, you helped us so much. This little strength is nothing. Jajaja. Well said. Besides, our strength. We can recover it quickly if we wish. Dory and Brogy replied after recovering from their shock, laughing heartily. And Rowan, you've truly shown us something incredible. We've lived for centuries, but never have we met a man like you. Dory and Brogy added, unable to hide the lingering astonishment in their eyes. Rowan, what should we do with these three? Zoro asked, gesturing towards the unconscious Miss Goldenweek, and the terrified Ms. Doublefinger and Mr. One. That little girl. Just leave her here. Whether she survives is up to her own luck. Rowan stated calmly. Don't let Ms. Goldenweek's appearance fool you, partnering with the treacherous Mr. 3 for years meant her hands weren't clean. Plus, her abilities relied entirely on special paints. She wasn't a devil fruit user, making her useless to Rowan. As for these two. Rowan looked towards Miss Doublefinger and Mr. One. This guy is the user of the dice fruit. A blade human who can turn any part of his body into blades. And his insides can turn to steel. Zoro. He's a suitable opponent for you. Whether you can awaken the power to cut steel. Depends on today. Rowan stated. His words made Zoro's eyes narrow instantly. Then, a predatory glint appeared as he fixed his gaze on Mr. One. Blade human. I remember now. Your face. You're that famous bounty hunter from the West Blue. Didn't expect you'd end up as someone else's dog. Zoro commented, tying his bandana around his head, looking at Mr. One like prey. Through Rowan's explanations, combined with his own master Kaoshiru's teachings, Zoro now fully understood the path of swordsmanship. To become a true swordsman, one had to reach the state of cutting steel. Hearing the breath of all things, then cutting along that breath to sever anything. Even steel. Hence, the steel-cutting realm. Kill me if you're going to. Sky Sovereign Rowan. You are indeed strong. Unbelievably so. But surely you won't offer some foolish ultimatum like fight him to survive, will you? Mr. One stated coldly. He too had his pride. No. I won't say that. Rowan replied, looking at Mr. One with a powerful smile. I just want you to die like a warrior. Rowan's words made Mr. One's pupils constrict sharply. Then, he silently stood up. As expected. Of the man with such incredible power. What magnanimity. Come on then. I remember you too. The East Blue Bounty Hunter. The Pirate Hunter. Mr. One suddenly laughed coldly. To die like a warrior. Though this man was unbelievably strong, he showed him respect. Clang. Without further words, Zoro clashed fiercely with Mr. One. His current swords couldn't cut Mr. One's steel-hard body, transformed by the dice fruit. Soon, numerous cuts appeared on Zoro's body. Sparkling daisy cutter. Mr. One roared, transforming his forearms into spinning blades, unleashing his strongest attack. Spurt. Blood sprayed violently as Zoro's chest was shredded by countless blade edges. Yet, facing this desperate situation, Zoro's eyes slowly closed. Memories flashed through his mind. His past training, his crushing defeat against Mihawk, Rowan's hockey-based training. Ho. S-U-U. A distinct sound. The breath emanating from Mr. One reached Zoro's ears. I see now. Rowan is so much stronger than you. Yet under his training, why couldn't I grasp how to cut steel? Is it only in this moment, truly facing death, that one can hear the breath of all things? Zoro sheathed Yubashiri and Sandai Kaitetsu. He held only Wado Kamaji in one hand. Do you deserve the acknowledgement of Sky Sovereign Rowan? Do you deserve such respect from that man? If not, then die beneath my dice fruit. Mr. One roared, his blade arm slashing towards Zoro. Itui I. Shishi Sunsen, Lion's Song. Slice. Blood sprayed. A horrifying gash appeared across Mr. One's chest, stretching down to his abdomen. As expected. Of a man acknowledged by Sky Sovereign Rowan. Mr. One murmured, then slowly closed his eyes. Blunder. Rowan commanded. A stream of purple light was extracted from Mr. One's body, merging into Rowan. Mr. One, truly Crocodile's trump card. His physique energy yielded 7 deep purple upgrade materials for Rowan. Combined with Rowan's previous accumulation and the energy from Dory and Brogy. Rowan's superhuman demonic physique, pale gold, trait was now only 6 pale gold materials away from reaching deep gold. 3 sword style, Apex Purple. Seeing Zoro's three-sword style trait advance to Apex Purple, Rowan smiled. Swordsman realm achieved. Zoro's strength has increased immensely. Reaching this stage would also make learning hockey much smoother for Zoro. Ha. Ha. I won. Rowan. Luffy. Zoro gasped, lifting his blood-streaked face, pulling off his bandana, and grinning weakly at Rowan and Luffy. Shishishi. Awesome. Zoro. Luffy beamed. Well done. Rowan praised sincerely. Need to stop the bleeding quickly. Usopp frantically applied medicine and bandages to Zoro's wounds. Injuries like these really need a doctor. Let's head to Drum Island, like Croca suggested, and find a ship's doctor. Rowan stated. The insect that bit Nami in the original story had long since been eliminated by Rowan. With his system and observation hockey, such a creature couldn't escape his notice. I'm fine. Stopping the civil war in her country is more important, we should hurry. Zoro protested weakly, pale from blood loss. Rowan wanted to help Vivi, Zoro would give his all too. No. We find a doctor first. Vivi declared firmly, looking up with determination. That is the fastest route to Alabasta, isn't it? Vivi then asked Rowan, smiling. Correct. Rowan confirmed with a smile. Well said, Vivi. Luffy and the others cheered. In that moment, Vivi was truly accepted by everyone as a comrade. This woman is the user of the spike fruit. Get some practice, Nami. Rowan suggested, smiling at Nami. Okay. Let me try. Nami eagerly took out her Climatact. Under Rowan's prompting, Usopp had constructed it ahead of schedule. Damn it. Miss Doublefinger, seeing she was the only agent left, completely panicked. She activated her spike fruit, attacking Nami desperately. Nami's fight, naturally, wouldn't be as bloody as Zoro's. The One Piece power system was brutal. For a swordsman to first reach the steel-cutting realm, hearing the breath of all things often required a true near-death experience. Only those who grasped it in that moment and survived could become true swordsmen. But Nami, possessing the climate sense trait, just needed to continuously increase her knowledge of weather patterns and utilize her climate weapon to grow stronger. This battle was only for her to familiarize herself with the Climatact. Soon, Nami gained proficiency. The frantic Miss Doublefinger was then easily dealt with by Rowan's Conqueror's Hockey. Nami's path to strength lay in learning, not bloody battles. Rowan naturally wouldn't let her get seriously hurt. Plunder. The spike fruit was plundered by Rowan. Miss Doublefinger's physique energy yielded one deep purple upgrade material. Female physiques, aside from monsters like Big Mom, were significantly weaker than males, even with devil fruits. One more gift for you, Nami. Rowan added, smiling at her. Grant. Rowan tossed 2 apples onto the ground. The spike fruit trait and the dice fruit trait flowed into them. Gurgle. Gurgle. Under the stunned gazes of the crew, the 2 apples transformed. One bristled with sharp spikes, the other with gleaming blades, both now adorned with mysterious swirling patterns. Devil fruits. Luffy, having eaten one himself, recognized them instantly. The spike fruit and the dice fruit. They're yours, Nami. The spike is average, but still worth over 100 million Bailey. The dice. Probably wouldn't sell for less than 300 million. Rowan explained with a smile. These 2 Pansha fruits offered no combat enhancement to Rowan himself now. Better to make Nami happy. Kaya. I love you, Rowan. Hearing the potential value, Nami shrieked with delight, throwing her arms around Rowan and planting several kisses on his cheek. Rowan watched the ecstatic Nami, smiling happily himself. Vivi watched them, and without even realizing it, a deep sense of envy filled her gaze. Alright. Let's have a feast. Rowan declared, still holding Nami, laughing heartily. After a pirate victory, a feast was mandatory. Ooh. Alabasta. Burrow. 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 Click. Burrow. 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 Click. Crocodile sat in darkness, repeatedly dialing his transponder snails. But no matter how many times he tried, whether calling Mr. 3, Mr. 1, or Robin, there was only silence, no answer. What in the world happened? Crocodile hissed, his eyes completely bloodshot. Chapter 78, What? What in the world happened? Crocodile stared, eyes bloodshot, into the darkness. The only sounds were the futile clicking and ringing of the transponder snails he kept dialing, met only by silence. After losing contact with Nico Robin, Crocodile had immediately dispatched his ace agents. The Mr. 1 and Miss Doublefinger pair. Along with the cunning Mr. 3 and Miss Golden Week combo, straight to Little Garden. Of course, unlike the original timeline, Crocodile possessed no intelligence whatsoever about Rowan and his crew. With Rowan's observation and Conqueror's Hockey, The unluckies, Baroque Works intel gatherers, stood no chance of getting descriptions or information. Rowan certainly wouldn't benevolently provide intel to Crocodile, letting the scheming fool operate blind suited Rowan just fine. So why send Mr. 1 to Little Garden without intel? Because Crocodile had sent scouts to investigate Whiskey Peak after losing contact. The bounty hunters there. Wiped out. Mr. 5 and Miss Valentine, sent to eliminate Princess Vivi and Igaram. Also wiped out. Mr. 9 and Ms. Monday. Missing. Nico Robin. Lost contact at Whiskey Peak. Clearly, Princess Vivi and Igaram weren't capable of this alone. Someone must have helped them. Now aided, and likely aware of his identity, Vivi would surely head back to Alabasta. And the next stop from Whiskey Peak towards Alabasta was Little Garden. This was the extent of Crocodile's current knowledge. Just as Rowan had told Vivi, Crocodile's entire scheme revolved around the poneglyph in Alabasta detailing the location of the ancient weapon, Pluton. Losing contact with Robin. The only one who could read the poneglyph. Threw even Crocodile's cold calculation into disarray. Without her, his plan was effectively dead before it began. Thus, Crocodile dispatched the strongest forces available to him. But now, not only had Robin not been recovered, but Mr. 1 and the others had vanished too. Obviously, something had happened to all of them. Bang. Crocodile slammed his fist onto the table, his eyes burning red. His top 5 ranked agent pairs. Now only Mr. 2 and Mr. 4 remained. His carefully constructed Baroque Works, built over years with numerous skilled agents. Now reduced to just a handful of operatives. And losing the unluckies, vital for aerial reconnaissance, at Little Garden was the final straw. Crocodile raged impotently. He didn't even know who his opponent was. He, who always manipulated everything from the shadows, now felt like he was being played by an unseen hand. Worse, without Nico Robin, enacting his plan now seemed utterly pointless. And with his enemies hidden while he was exposed, the situation was slipping from his control. If you chose to help Nefertari Vivi, then you must be coming to Alabasta. After his initial fury, Crocodile forcibly calmed himself. He rapidly issued new orders. All remaining Baroque Works forces were to converge on Alabasta. All high-ranking agents were to gather there. He deployed numerous operatives along Alabasta's coastline. Any sign of Nefertari Vivi or Nico Robin was to be reported immediately. I'll be waiting for you. Right here. Crocodile hissed, eyes bloodshot. The rage boiling within him was second only to the humiliation of his past defeat by Whitebeard. Little Garden. Unlike the furious Crocodile, the Straw Hats were enjoying a feast. The prehistoric ingredients were transformed into delectable dishes by Sanji. All the remaining booze was consumed heartily by Brogy and Dory. Zoro, still injured, was forbidden from drinking. Luffy and Usopp, chopsticks stuck up their noses again, performed the bizarre nostril chopstick dance they learned from Johnny, their comical expressions sending everyone into fits of laughter. Even the giants, Dory and Brogy, slapped their massive thighs, roaring with laughter. Delicious food, fine wine, joyous laughter. This was a pirate feast. Gabba Baba. This is great. It's been too long since we had a proper pirate party. Jejija. Brings back memories. Haven't had this much fun in ages. Brogy and Dory laughed uproariously. The feast eventually wound down amidst cheerful camaraderie. Well then, we'll be taking our leave. Rowan said, smiling towards Dory and Brogy. Oh. The biggest obstacle leaving Little Garden. You already cleared it out, Rowan. The path ahead is clear. Dory and Brogy escorted the Straw Hats back to the Going Merry. They will surely make names for themselves across the sea. Dory commented, watching the Merry depart with a smile. Of course. Especially Rowan. His name will thunder across the entire ocean someday. Brogy boomed confidently. Indeed. That way, if Rowan ever needs us, we'll hear of it quickly and rush to his side. Dory added with a grin. Now then. Time for the contest of wills. Dory. Gabba Baba. Bring it on, Brogy. Jejija. I still can't believe there are really goldfish as big as islands. Usopp commented with a smile aboard the Merry. Another one of his tall tales turned out to be true. The sea truly was vast. But if we're going to Drum Island, how do we get there without a longbows for it? Nami asked. Their current longbows was useless, still recording Little Garden's magnetic field. Until they reached the next island and it reset, it would only point back towards Little Garden. The only other navigational tool they had was the eternal pose for Alabasta, taken from the unluckies. Vivi instinctively looked towards Rowan. In her eyes, there seemed to be nothing Rowan couldn't do. She had already begun to rely on him unconsciously. Which is why I said we should just go straight to Alabasta. Zoro grumbled from where he lay resting on the deck. Relax. When comrades are in need, I can handle anything. From here on, I'll take command of navigation. Head in this direction. And we'll reach Drum Island. Rowan stated calmly, pointing towards a specific bearing, his smile radiating absolute confidence. New trait acquired, route, path to Tony Chopper's location. System note, after bonding with the Straw Hat crew, the system can provide routes related to important plot points, SUG. Rowan. Hearing Rowan's confident declaration, Luffy cheered loudly. Sun God, Apex Gold, trait equipping progress increased. Rowan, you. Zoro closed his eyes, leaning back against the deck, saying nothing more. But behind his closed eyelids, his heart filled with gratitude. Azura Aura, special, trait equipping progress increased. Full speed ahead. Get Zoro's injuries treated, find a ship's doctor. Then, our next destination. Ala Vista. Rowan declared, standing tall on the deck, radiating energy. Ooh. The crew responded with a unified cheer. Sailing into a frigid, wintry sea region, a group of pirates suddenly boarded the Going Merry. Ha 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 ha. You're surrounded. I'm heading to the Drum Kingdom. Do any of you have a log pose pointing there? A ridiculously obese man with dark purple hair, a massive mouth, and a bizarre metal cylinder encasing his lower jaw yelled at Rowan and the crew. Surrounded us? Rowan turned, looking at Wapol with his intimidating villain expression. Why you? What do you want? Wapol felt a sudden chill. See crap. That man's face. Wapol's advisor, Chess, stared fearfully at Rowan, clutching a wanted poster. It's the 100 million Bailey Super Rookie. Sky Sovereign Rowan. Chess shrieked in terror. Huh? Wapol's eyes widened in horror, staring at Rowan. Sorry. We took a wrong turn. Wapol immediately backpedaled, sweating profusely, ready to flee. When Blackbeard's crew attacked Drum Kingdom, Wapol had fled with his retainers without even putting up a fight. Wapol was the definition of a bully who preyed on the weak and feared the strong. Your chatter is rather excessive. Pirates drawing weapons on other pirates. Is there really any outcome besides conflict? Rowan asked, his expression turning utterly ruthless. We're not pirates. Wapol screamed fearfully. Boom. Conqueror's hockey instantly cleared the deck of Wapol's men. Blunder. Rowan commanded. A stream of purple light flowed into Rowan's body. Wapol's physique energy yielded 2 deep purple upgrade materials. And one more thing. The Munch Munch fruit. Wapol, former king of Drum Kingdom. Scum who tormented his own people. Rowan stated coldly, looking down at the unconscious Wapol. Wapol? I remember him. I saw him at the reverie. Vivi exclaimed, why died? Hey. Doctors on that ship. Treat my comrade. Rowan called towards Wapol's strange, hippo-like submarine. Why yes. We are Dr. 20. And no. We are doctors from the Drum Kingdom. 20 doctors emerged fearfully, approaching the Merry. Dr. 20? What a weird name. Luffy commented curiously. Some of you perform surgery on my comrade. The rest of you. Explain the situation in Drum Kingdom to my crewmates. Rowan ordered. Why yes, sir. Several surgeons quickly set up a makeshift operating area and began treating Zoro. The remaining Dr. 20 recounted the events on Drum Island to Luffy and the others. They explained how Wapol had exiled all doctors except the 20 serving him personally, dubbed Dr. 20. In the perpetually winter-bound Drum Kingdom, illness was frequent. Lacking access to doctors, the citizens were forced to submit to Wapol's tyranny to obtain precious medical care. Hearing this, Luffy and the others seethed with righteous anger. Learning further that Wapol had abandoned his country and people, fleeing without a fight upon sighting Blackbeard's crew. Vivi, deeply influenced by her father King Cobra's belief that the people were more important than the country itself, was absolutely furious. Rowan. Can I beat him up? Luffy yelled angrily, pointing at the unconscious Wapol. Scum like him should be judged by the people he wronged. Rowan replied, his own eyes cold. Judged by the people. Rowan, those are powerful words. Vivi murmured, biting her lip, looking at Rowan with shining eyes. Thud. The surgeons who had finished treating Zoro suddenly knelt, performing a deep doge zabo. We were cowards. Submitting to Wapol. Thank you. Thank you for defeating him. One of the lead doctors sobbed, removing his mask, his face streaked with tears. Relax. Rowan replied gently. He wouldn't demand impossible bravery from everyone. Succumbing to fear was a natural instinct. It was precisely because of this instinct that courage became humanity's greatest anthem. See, can we return to Drum Kingdom with you? Though we were forced to submit to Wapol, we never stopped studying medicine. We want to go back. Contribute to Drum Kingdom again. Live out our remaining days serving the people. An elderly doctor pleaded, tears streaming down his face. We can take you back. As for whether the people of Drum Kingdom will accept you again, that, too, should be decided by the people there. Rowan replied with a smile. Behind Rowan, Vivi watched him, her eyes blazing with admiration. Her heart pounded uncontrollably fast. Leaving judgment to the people, Vivi felt Rowan's principles transcended even those of her own beloved, people-centric father. In that moment, Vivi knew. She could no longer hide her feelings. She, Nefertari Vivi, on this day at the age of 18, had fallen in love for the first time. Nami watched Vivi's expression, her own unreadable. Finally, a small, knowing smile touched her lips. Under Rowan's command, the Going Merry soon arrived at Drum Island. But upon entering the harbor, they were immediately met by a crowd of citizens aiming weapons at them. Pirates! You're not welcome here. Leave. Warning shouts echoed across the water. Having just suffered Blackbeard's attack, and abandoned by their king Wapol, the citizens of Drum Island were currently filled with intense hatred towards pirates. Calm down. It's us. The Dr. 20 stepped forward, calling out to the citizens on shore. Dr. 20. The leader of the armed group, an incredibly sturdy man, recognized them instantly. It was Dalton, former captain of the Drum Kingdom Guard, user of the Ox Fruit model, Bison. We have returned to atone. Do not aim your weapons at our country's benefactors. One of the elderly doctors yelled, kneeling on the deck, tears streaming down his face. Benefactors? Dalton and the others looked confused. Then, their pupils constricted in shock as they saw the figure held up on the Mary's deck. Wapol? Dalton gasped. Mr. Rowan defeated Wapol. And intends to hand him over. To be judged by the people. Mr. Rowan is our country's benefactor. Lower your weapons, you can judge us for submitting to Wapol out of fear. But please, do not point your guns at Mr. Rowan. The elderly doctor cried out desperately. Clatter. Weapons dropped to the ground all around. The tyranny is over. It's finally over. Dalton sobbed, tears of relief streaming down his face. It's over. The citizens erupted in joyous cries, embracing each other. The judgment is yours to carry out. We are outsiders, we won't interfere. Rowan stated calmly, handing Wapol and his two main advisors over to Dalton. We don't know how to thank you. We deeply apologize for our actions earlier, Mr. Rowan. Dalton said, then moved to bow deeply to Rowan. But Rowan simply raised a hand, preventing Dalton from kneeling with seemingly effortless strength. Strong. As expected of Sky Sovereign Rowan. Dalton, having recognized Rowan's identity as well, was awestruck. He was his own devil fruit user himself, yet his strength felt childishly weak compared to Mr. Rowan's. Direct that passion towards your people. This country needs rebuilding, doesn't it? Rowan replied with a smile. At the very least. Allow us to host you properly, express our gratitude. Dalton pleaded, deeply moved. He had never encountered pirates like these before. Do you have any local specialty dishes? Rowan asked, his smile widening. Of course. Dalton beamed, genuinely happy. Behind them, Vivi's gaze never left Rowan. Vivi. Nami whispered, appearing beside her. Vivi blushed slightly, unable to meet Nami's knowing gaze. But Nami simply leaned closer and whispered in her ear. You need to be brave, okay? Vivi stared blankly at Nami's encouraging smile, her face flushing crimson. Chapter 79. Inside the small town, Dalton and the villagers brought out all their stored food supplies. Drum Kingdom existed in perpetual winter, leading to a dietary preference for hot foods. Creating a scene reminiscent of a hot pot gathering back on Earth for Rowan. Snow fell heavily outside the windows, while inside, everyone enjoyed delicious food. With Luffy and Usopp acting as lively entertainers, the atmosphere was cheerful. Nami and Vivi sat on either side of Rowan. With beautiful women beside him, the feeling was even more satisfying than the taste of the food itself. This meal left Rowan thoroughly content. Seeing Rowan and his crew eat with such satisfaction brought smiles to the faces of Dalton and the others. For a time, hosts and guests thoroughly enjoyed the pleasant atmosphere. However, Vivi, seated beside Rowan, didn't eat much, lost in thought. That phrase Nami said. Telling her to be brave. What did she mean? Vivi stole glances at Nami on Rowan's other side. Nami was laughing happily, looking no different than usual. Vivi naturally understood the relationship between Nami and Rowan. During their voyage, she and Nami had become good friends, and Vivi had learned about Nami's past struggles. Knowing Nami's history made Vivi feel Nami was even stronger than herself. Although Vivi carried the burden of her entire country's safety, she at least had her father, the king, to shelter her. She also had people like Igaram, Chaka, and Pel, who acted like uncles. But Nami had shouldered the fate of Kokoyasi village entirely alone. To save her home, Nami endured working for the fishman who murdered her mother right before her eyes, drawing charts while also acting as a pirate thief to earn the 100 million Bailey ransom. Yet, despite all that, those very fishmen intended to use corrupt Marines to steal all her hard-earned money, forcing her to draw charts for them forever. The one who ended all that was Rowan. And when they first met, Rowan had decided to help her partly because her expression of despair reminded him of Nami's. Vivi felt incredibly envious. But because of that, even as she gradually realized her own feelings for Rowan, she hesitated to confront them. She had already received so much help. Nami had encouraged and supported her. How could she possibly compete with Nami for happiness? Until just before arriving at Drum Island, Rowan's words made it impossible for Vivi to ignore her heart any longer. Vivi understood she couldn't deceive herself anymore. Like the old saying goes, love like a storm, fierce and fleeting, and because of that, Nami noticed her feelings. Yet Nami wasn't angry, she even encouraged her to be brave. Looking at Nami, who seemed perfectly normal, laughing happily, Vivi pressed her lips together. Does this Nami mean I also have a chance? Regarding this aspect, Vivi felt no particular objection. As the Princess of Alabasta, the concept of polygamy wasn't entirely foreign or shocking. But what surprised Vivi was Nami's apparent generosity. That was the only word Vivi could think of. Nami's words really did sound like encouragement. But Vivi couldn't possibly ask Nami directly to confirm, could she? Besides, the ultimate decision rested with Rowan. Vivi's mind was a whirl of confusion. What are you thinking about, Nami? Rowan leaned closer, whispering softly near her ear. Even Nami had noticed Vivi's feelings. How could Rowan, with his now apex purple observation hockey, be unaware? And Rowan had also heard Nami's encouraging words to Vivi using his hockey. It wasn't that Rowan deliberately eavesdropped on their private conversation. Nami's actions seemed almost intentionally designed to let him know. Rowan wouldn't pretend ignorance or let the situation become ambiguously awkward. He looked seriously into Nami's eyes. You heard, didn't you? With your observation hockey. Nami replied, a mischievous, impish smile playing on her lips. Rowan looked fondly at her, though a metaphorical black line appeared on his forehead. Nami definitely let me overhear her conversation with Vivi on purpose. The sea is free, right? Nami whispered playfully near Rowan's ear. That was Nami's stance. Rowan had saved her, told her the sea was free. Through their time together, she had fallen in love with him. For Vivi, who had similar experiences and was now being saved by Rowan, to fall for him too. Nami wasn't surprised at all. Whether Rowan chose to accept Vivi's feelings was his decision. Nami wouldn't create any obstacles. Rowan was also free. Not just Vivi. Nami also knew about Rowan's promise with Kaya, thanks to Rowan himself. Rowan never hid anything from her. And Nami had sensed Kaya's feelings back in Syrup Village. In fact, it was partly because of Kaya that Nami started to confront her own feelings for Rowan. What Nami would do was stay by Rowan's side, regardless of his choices, as long as Rowan still needed her, still loved her. The sea was vast, surely it was vast enough to hold the love of different girls for the same man? The sea is free, isn't it? Nami looked intently at Rowan, her smile bright and genuine. Rowan understood Nami's meaning. He smiled and gently patted the back of her hand. The feelings of a good girl like Vivi. Rowan certainly wouldn't disregard them. But Nami's understanding and acceptance made Rowan love her even more deeply. Rowan cherished Nami dearly. That affection wouldn't change, no matter how many other girls' hearts he might capture in the future. Nami felt the warmth from Rowan's hand, her smile becoming even brighter. Though she didn't have observation hockey, she could understand Rowan's meaning. Nearby, Vivi watched Rowan and Nami whispering, blinked curiously, feeling incredibly anxious. Her intuition told her they were talking about her. But without hockey, she couldn't hear their words. And she couldn't possibly ask them directly about such a thing. However, seeing the smiles on both Rowan's and Nami's faces reassured Vivi somewhat. It probably isn't a bad outcome, right? By the way, Rowan, who are we actually looking for as our ship's doctor? Uncle Doctor and the others need to stay here and contribute to their country. Are there any other doctors here? Luffy, having finished eating, asked, folding his arms and tilting his head thoughtfully. Are you looking for a ship's doctor? Dalton inquired. Yeah. Uncle, do you know if there are any other doctors around? Luffy grinned hopefully. All the doctors here were driven out by Wapol. Except for Dr. 20. Dalton replied automatically. Seeing the disappointment on Luffy's group's faces, Dalton paused, then added. However, the castle on that snowy mountain. Wapol's former castle. There's a doctor living up there. But that doctor. Dalton decided not to withhold information from the benefactors who had saved their country. When Luffy and the others heard this doctor was over 130 years old, their eyes widened. SUG. Let's go check it out, Rowan. Luffy exclaimed excitedly, jumping up. Well then, we'll take our leave. Rowan stood up, smiling at Dalton. That snow mountain path is treacherous, and there are dangerous creatures. Let us prepare and escort you up. Dalton quickly offered. No need. We're not taking the mountain path. Rowan replied with a smile. Dalton looked confused. White blow. Rowan activated his smoke fruit,